That's what happens when you drink all the time. We just make lots of mistakes.
Yeah. That's what we
I
do.
don't even know what's going on half the
That's
time.
FREAKQUELS, baby.
Yeah. FREAKQUELS. Where we're drinking too
FREAKQUELS
much.
for ya.
FREAKQUELS, where we drink too much or not enough.
Yeah.
A few more drinks and we'll know.
Beautiful freaks, and welcome to a brand new episode of FREAKQUELS. I'm EJ Leeson, and with me always, my co-host with the most. My God, he is handsome, Mr. Rory Calarasi. What's up, baby?
Good. I actually got a lot of reconstructive surgery for you to make that comment.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah, I just don't appreciate you reducing me to my brand new features.
Oh, I think they look good, man.
Well,
you look like a new car.
part of my face is currently falling off, but we don't have to talk about that.
You look like the new Tesla van. I don't know. And, of course, we have a very special guest, the beautifully wonderful and super talented Meggie Roche. What's up, buddy?
Hi. Oh, stop it, you.
Oh, I can't, man. You're amazing. Not only are you just a wonderful, an amazing person, but also an actress who has all those skills too.
Oh, well, sometimes.
All the time. Sometimes
Yeah.
all the time. So,
You also get points for not
don't
having.
make me take a compliment, EJ. I won't do it.
too
You
bad.
can't make me.
No, but I've seen you now be the lead in like a few different plays, and you're outstanding.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I do
Yeah.
enjoy it. And,
The Donald Lackawannas.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
And I was in the first one, too. I wasn't in the second one, but I was
Yeah.
in the first one.
And the third.
The third. So,
Yeah.
bookends.
Crushed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just
Playing
came
a
out-
different character, but ending up with the same guy.
Yeah. Interesting how
yeah.
that worked out.
He's
yeah.
got some explaining to do, I think.
Yeah, I think he does. He definitely has the same taste, which is
Yeah.
so.
He's got a type.
Yeah, and then also when I really first met you was doing the Diary of Anne Frank. I think that was when I kind of like got to meet you officially.
Yes, we had met at karaoke a few times because
Right,
we
yes.
had a lot of mutual friends, and so.
Yes, that's right. Okay, yeah,
but
you're right.
karaoke is just a crucible of chaos.
Yes.
And you are at its center, so we didn't really get a chance to talk and hang out until Anne Frank, which
Yeah.
is another kind of crucible of chaos.
Yeah, but you were the stage manager, and you were incredible. Like I was like, wow, she really is like on top of your game. And it's funny because you were just saying like now that's what you're doing, right? Like as
Oh yeah, I'm
for
working
Dunmore.
with the Dunmore Drama Club. I'm doing
Yeah.
that for them now, and it's I love lists. I love Excel spreadsheets and Google Docs. That's my jam.
Yeah.
So stage managing really is like in my wheelhouse, and it's so fun getting to hang out with a bunch of kids that like also really have a passion for spreadsheets. And I'm like, all right, kids, this is how you put a set list together. And they're like, oh my God, yes.
Well, I remember I think at one point even telling you when you met Meggie, I forget when you met her, but I was like, dude, you have to get her to work on your movie because she's so authentic. Like you are so down to every single detail.
That's actually not what he said, but
Yeah, I was like, you
It's
should get her
actually-
to work on your movie. No, but you are like, you pay so much attention to every detail, and you're so on top of everything. Like you made everyone's life so much better in
Aw,
Diary of Anne Frank,
shucks.
because we never had to go out and be like, where's our props? You know, like I felt like everything was always in the right place. And
I hand sewed like 36 Stars of David onto like so many
I
costumes.
still have mine. I still
You
kept
do?
mine. Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, because I don't really keep a lot of like stuff from plays, but I did keep that because that play was very special.
It was a lot. Like
Yeah.
it's a lot to take on, just like psychologically, emotionally.
Yeah.
But I thought the cast was really, really good.
Yeah.
Really like understood the gravity of it, which that's nice when you're working with like local community theater. Everybody really knows each other and trusts each other, and so you can kind of, you know, get into those deep spaces in the stage plays.
Yeah,
that's really fun.
It's awesome.
Really compelling.
Yeah. And you you just crushed it.
Yeah.
And it was a very special play in general, just being on stage and just kind of being in that mindset. You
weren't even the role that you ended up playing when we went live was not the role that you were cast in.
No.
And I'm just remembering this now. You were given a much larger role in the play at the beginning of Hell Week.
Yes.
And so you had that one single week to pull yourself together entirely, and then and we were trying to figure out ways that we could like hide a script in your props and stuff like that just in case you needed it. And I remember the first night you walked out there, you did not need your script, you did not miss a cue, you got to every point in your blocking, you absolutely nailed it. It was awesome. And I was like, oh my god, this guy knows what he's doing.
I think I only called for line once because I was like,
that whole week.
I only had like a week to
absolutely
really
wild.
Learn it. Yeah.
And they moved you up to Anne Frank.
Yes. Yeah. I was like, yes, finally, my turn has come. No, but it
my
was
red
such a
shoes.
But it was such a cool experience. And then we got to hang out even more after that because of our mutual friends, especially Elle Snow and Krista.
Mm-hmm.
And then you did Shequels.
Yes.
Which is one of my favorite podcasts ever.
Well, you made the best decision of your life, which was to start dating my dear friend Robin.
Yes.
And then we got to see a lot of each other over the last few years.
Yeah.
So, good job, EJ.
Oh, good job, bro. But no, I think to this day, Shequels is definitely one of my favorite episodes. Well, both now. Because we have the original with Carrie, the Carrie remake. And now
the original with the remake, yes.
Yeah, the original with the remake. But then also Hocus Pocus, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was so much fun to record.
Yeah, we were just like off our rails a little bit with that one. I feel like you brought up the trout bed sheets, and I think that was like the funniest like ongoing joke throughout the whole thing. Yeah,
that was pretty great. Yeah, until, of course, Palpatine returned.
Of course.
Somehow.
Somehow Palpatine returned. But let's get into some movies. What are some new movies you got to see?
Well, not necessarily new, but I've been rewatching the Scream franchise because I realized that I hadn't seen the originals since high school, and I hadn't seen 4 since college when it came out, and hadn't seen 5 or 6 at all. And then as I was watching them,
you don't need to. It's okay.
And then as I was watching them, I realized that actually I never saw 2 and 3, so they were completely new to me.
Yeah.
And I think that like there's some stuff that you could pick apart, but I think they in general really hold up, and so I was really enjoying that. But then last week, Elle and I went and saw Your Monster in theaters. It just came out, and that was the first time I'd seen a new movie in theaters in so long.
I think we saw the Last Voyage of the Demeter, right? Didn't we see that together?
No,
we saw
I wasn't
The Visit.
in that group.
Or no, The Invitation. I know we saw that.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember. I knew we saw a vampire movie. Was it Renfield? Did you see that too? I think we did.
Yes, we saw The Invitation. We saw Renfield. But I saw Your Monster, and it was so much fun. It was delightful. It was funny, like laugh out loud funny at the parts where you were supposed to laugh out loud, and it was like I'm tearing up, emotional at the parts where you were supposed to be tearing up and emotional. So it was just I loved it. It was really good. It was highly really recommend.
Good. It was really, really good. The socks made me laugh so hard.
The socks, yes. That was one of the funniest bits because it was a scene where I was about to cry because I was like, no, I don't want this. This is so sad. This is the opposite of what I wanted, filmmakers. And then she starts yelling about the socks, and suddenly I'm like laughing so hard I'm crying.
Yeah. That and then the stage manager when he's like, "All right, buddy,
Oh, yeah.
take 5," and they're like, "That's actually 10, man," and he was like, "Oh," just the way he reacted.
Yeah,
Was so good.
the people who made that movie definitely have worked on a stage
Yes.
before, because every scene where they were in the theater, I was like, yep, that is what it is. Especially as a stage manager, I'm
Right.
like, that's exactly it.
Yeah, it was so good. And then it's funny because Melissa Barrera talked about how she read the script and she's like, I felt like this movie was made for me because I love rom-coms. I love like horror type stuff. She's like, I love musicals and like the aspect of making behind the scenes of a musical.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, if just everything about it leaped off the pages to me, and I was like, I cannot pass on this movie. This is definitely like made for me. And so and then seeing it, I think that's like her best performance. I would say, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, prior to the Scream movies, I had seen her in that movie In the Heights. Did you see that?
Yes.
Yeah, and I thought she was great, and I was like, oh, she's gonna be like a really big actress. She's really good. And then I started on the 2 Scream movies, and I'm like, oh,
Oh no.
what
all
happened?
right. And then like I saw her in Abigail, and I'm like, oh, no, she actually is very good. And then this Your Monster, which we actually saw it last night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah,
saw
we
it
went
last
together
night.
last night. Yeah,
And I thought she was awesome in it. You know, she was like so good. Even like her singing, I'm just like, wow, like,
Yeah.
she's really, really something. And it was cool too because I did not look into this movie when I saw it. I've been trying to pull away from trailers and like plot synopsises because they typically ruin a lot of what's going on in the movie.
yeah.
So I didn't know she was in it. I didn't know what this movie is about, but I saw that she was in it, and I'm like, oh, it's Melissa Barrera, because I just met her like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And
August.
cool.
I think it was August.
yeah, it was
At
really
a con?
yeah.
Monster Mania in
Yeah.
Cherry Hill.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, she was. I was taking stuff out of her purse, and she was
Yeah.
like, "Do you need something?" I'm like, "Oh no, hi, big fan." But yeah, I didn't know she was in it, and then she was delightful in it. Like she really, really carries that movie. There's a couple
Yeah.
of points when she starts like freaking out on stage, and you're just like, "Wow, like she's got some range."
Yeah.
But then those Scream movies, I'm like, they don't know what to do with her.
Yeah, I think the filmmakers just didn't really give her maybe good material or didn't
Yeah.
really like capitalize on her range as an actress.
They
Yeah,
seem sort of
I agree with
conflicted
that.
with her character.
Yeah.
That was what I got from the Scream movies, is that they were like, is she gonna be evil? Is she gonna be good? We don't know.
Wait, are you caught up now? Did you watch Scream 5 and 6?
I'm like halfway through 6 now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
'Cause
So
when I watch movies at home, I have to watch them, in like
small increments.
half hour to hour increments, because I do have a 3-year-old running around.
Right.
So it's like, oh, good, she's taking a nap. I can, put on a movie while I fold laundry or something. Yeah.
We used to have a young Vince running around.
Yeah.
Remember?
Unfortunately,
We raised him.
I know.
Now he's out in the world.
He's a man now.
He's doing things,
Wreaking
Right.
havoc.
wreaking havoc, putting up drywall where it doesn't belong.
Eating a kid?
Eating a kid.
kids.
Eating at least one
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I know for a fact
said
that he didn't
on-
need to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rest in pieces, young
Yeah,
Vince.
yeah. It was a very troubling
Yeah.
life that guy lives. But
The news
Troubling
the news tonight said that he's still at large.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you heard from him?
actually, he texted me, and I'm like, dude, after what you did, please just don't contact me again.
Yeah, my lawyer told me not to talk about
To
Vince.
distance ourselves.
Yeah, it's just
He says he's gonna hurt the brand.
Yeah.
Every couple weeks I get a text from him in a different language. And
Yeah.
I
That's
put
a
it
weird
through
thing,
Google
too.
Translate, and it's just something like "gone for milk," and I'm like, "Why are you
Why?
saying it in Russian though, Vince?"
Yeah.
See, he sends me stuff in different languages, and then I get it translated, and I get an understanding that he does not understand these languages, and it's just a bunch of nonsense.
He's just wording together.
it's just
whatever.
like, I'm like, this is just confusing. Call me if you have something to say.
yeah.
But
He's out of control.
but did you see anything else?
Yeah.
No, that's basically it. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
That's what I've
I
been
saw We Live in Time with
Listen to
Andrew
this. He was
Garfield.
acting like I asked him what he saw. He's already going on.
Yeah.
Fine, EJ, just tell me, what did you see?
I saw We Live in Time.
Me too.
With Andrew Garfield
Did you find
Good
it
for
delightful?
you.
and Florence Pugh.
Did you find it delightful like I did?
I mean, Andrew Garfield is very charming. I don't know.
Impossibly charming.
Yeah, like how can you not? I would love to see him play like a monster. Like it was such a
Like a beast, yeah.
yeah, like some kind of like
A Spider-Man or something.
no remorse. Yeah, like a Spider-Man.
You know my love for him, so
Yeah.
I don't need to explain that.
He's great, and then Florence Pugh was like really good in that too. I think
She's
was, like,
very consistent.
yeah,
She's like a very good actress.
she's funny. I feel like
She's real
she's
funny.
really really funny.
Yeah.
She has really good timing.
Yeah.
And she sometimes makes choices with like her inflection and tone that are interesting but so genuine.
Yeah.
And also I really love the very weird frown that she does in every single role, where she like completely turns her jaw upside down.
It's the
I
Midsummer
love it.
face.
Yes.
yeah.
I know what
It's
you're talking
so
about.
weird, but
Yeah.
it's so real. I love it.
Glad she's out there.
Yeah,
What
I
else
am
did you
too.
see?
I'm trying to think what else. I think that's it. I don't. Yeah, I didn't see Venom yet. I plan on seeing Venom: The Last Dance. One of these days.
I had some.
One of these dances.
I had a wild time with the movies this week.
Oh my god! Yeah.
I saw some stuff. We already covered your monster. We all seem to love it. If you
It's-
get some time, check it out.
It's
or
worth
don't.
seeing. Yeah, because
Yeah, no, I want to go see it again.
Yeah.
Which I never see movies twice in the theater. I see them once and then I'm like, I'll buy it when it comes out if I really want it that bad. But I'm like, no, I got to see the, like, I can't wait
Yeah.
for it
Awesome.
to be out.
I feel
America, watch this movie.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Or
I
go
hope,
see Venom: The Last Dance. They're very similar.
I hope more people do go see this because my buddy who works at Cinemark, Chris, was like, yeah, I think this was the only Showtime that had people in it this whole week or something, right? He said,
being promoted
when
well.
Elle and I went on Friday night, which I believe that was when it opened, right? It came out
Yeah.
on Friday.
Yeah.
So we went last Friday and there were 2 other people in the entire theater.
there was,
Drunks.
I think there was like 10,
Yeah.
and we were 8 of them.
We were
right?
the only ones laughing, so I'm pretty sure they were not paying any sort of attention.
Yeah.
Like, I thought this was Venom.
I think yeah. I think there was like 2 other people up top, and then like down below it was like the 8 of us that were all there together to see it. But I guess that was the most people it
I like to
had.
think. I like to think they wanted to be in your group.
Yeah.
Like they were just like, man.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about our
Our
screening?
group.
Oh yeah.
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 I
I
know.
wouldn't let them in.
No.
I saw Day Trippers for the first time.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Dude, what did you think?
I think that movie is something that, like, if you really want to write, like, if you have an interest in screenwriting or writing a play, whatever, watch this movie. It's a really good example of, like, how to write interesting characters.
Oh my god.
It's, like, really, really strong, interesting characters and interesting looking characters. Like, I love,
Yeah.
like, all the costume design and stuff.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, everyone's sort of borderline cartoony, but not really. Like, it all just really works. Parker Posey, I wanted to throw, like, roses at her because she's just so good.
I love her.
Yeah, she's such an interesting actress, right?
You have to watch Party Girl. That's another really good movie.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because I love Day Trippers, but I'm such a huge fan of Parker Posey because she's in Josie and the Pussycats, and she's like one of the best parts of that movie. And of course,
Yeah.
Scream 3. Love her in Scream 3.
Yeah. No, she's great.
She's
Just everything she does is like,
there's like actresses in Hollywood, and then there's Parker Posey.
yes.
She is so very much like her own entity.
Yeah.
she's so interesting. But yeah, it was.
Leave Schreiber, though. You can't pass on that,
He's
too.
my favorite character in it because he's just so like.
Such a
Like,
good guy.
He's a good guy, but he's very like pretentious.
Right.
I love when he's like telling the story of his novel to the mom.
And about the horse and everything. Yeah. Like,
no, it's a dog with the.
oh, that's right. Yeah.
Tell us the dog story, Carl. She got like an extra something in there.
And the mom and the dad
The
were
mom
such
is
great characters.
so funny.
And then Hope Davis
Yeah.
as the older sister who so the plot is she suspects her husband is cheating on her, and her husband is Stanley Tucci, and her and the family literally go into New York City trying to track down the husband, and that's like the plot of the movie. I don't want to give it too much more away.
I definitely don't want to ruin anything, but where it ends, I was like, oh, I should have seen that coming, and I didn't.
yeah.
It's like really satisfying. It's a really, really strong, powerful ending. You know, the way it resolves.
Yeah.
Like, where you're just like, oh, neat. Interesting choice, Greg, if I can call you that.
Greg Mottola.
I had gone to last Saturday. I did the Criterion closet van thing.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
And
the pictures of you look like a kid in a candy store. It's great.
I know. I love it. I can't wait to. I keep telling him, please post the video because I want to see it.
My lawyers want to scrub it first because I say a lot of incriminating things in there.
I can't wait to see what you picked.
Yeah.
I'm like so.
Yeah, he's just like, you know, like jumping up and down and, you know, fidgeting real cute, and also like giving Vince his exact location and address.
I was.
A list of his crimes and
I got more evidence.
complicity in them, and, you know, all that. So like, maybe we don't post this one yet.
It was stupid for me because like I was kind of standing outside waiting to go in, and I was just like talking to, like, you know, friend of the show Dave Gonzalez and some friends that we made in line, and I was just so caught up talking to them that when we actually started moving towards the Criterion closet, it dawned on me that I was going to be in there, and I'm like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Like, it was just like this really like, oh, I'm here right now. And like I stepped inside, and it was just kind of like overwhelming, and I don't mean to sound the way this is going to sound, but it was just being like overwhelmed by like all these like works of art, really.
Yeah.
Some of like the most like profound pieces of cinema just surrounding you, however that sounds. But I just felt so like wow, like how the fuck did I get here? It was like really, it was just really neat. And it was funny too, because like I knew which movies I wanted to talk about, and then like right as I'm going in there's this guy, and he's like, hey, you're next, which movies are you gonna talk about? I'm like, well, I'm gonna go with this one and this one. And Truffaut's Day for Night. He's like, oh, that just went out of print, so we don't have that in there. I'm like, great, that was the centerpiece of the whole fucking conversation. And he just pushed me in the van. I'm like, oh, hi, okay, I'm on camera. But the lady did compliment me. She's like, oh, it's like, I know you were down a movie going in, but she's like, I'm really impressed with how eloquent you were under pressure. And I'm like, I tried so hard. I can't even look at it. But while in there, I did buy. Did you see that they put I Walked with a Zombie on 4K?
No. Yeah.
It's a really, really interesting movie. Some very beautiful, very, very spooky shots for sure. I recommend it. So I watched that. I also watched another Criterion movie called Salo.
Oh my gosh.
The 120 Days of Sodom. This is what we call, kids, a one and done. Because you see this movie and you can't unsee this movie. It's a fucking very powerful movie because it made me feel angry and sick. And then just like really going inside of my head being like, wow, there are really people out there like this.
Like that.
And I was just getting so mad. And then the movie does not even give you the satisfaction of seeing, like, you know, like America kick the doors down and be like, fuck you, scumbag, you know, blow them away. You're just like, well, I got to experience hell.
Yeah.
Because it's what it feels like. Like, I'm just like, oh, these poor people. But again, if you really want to watch a movie with mom, check out Salo. 120 Days of Sodom. Last movie.
If you're feeling down and out, this is the movie for you.
The last movie, because again, I'm telling you, it's been a wild week of movie choices. I also saw The Apprentice.
Oh yeah, about Donald Trump.
Yeah. The what's his face?
Sebastian
Stan
and Jeremy Strong. Yeah.
It's a movie that the filmmaking it's awesome. Like it's so like it starts off with punk rock, and the movie kind of has like a punk rock energy to it. But it's so funny to me because it's like, if you really, really hate Donald Trump, this movie does not go hard enough on him for you to probably like it. And if you really, really love Donald Trump, it's not a puff piece. So it's really like a film
in the middle.
Yeah, it's right in the middle for people who have more of like kind of want more of a nuanced perspective on like how a person gets to a point like that. Right. That's all I wanted to see. I just wanted to be like, how did a human being turn into this guy, right? And the movie does give you a very like satisfying way to kind of understand, you know? Yeah. So like, again, it's not like, if you're looking for something very balanced, it's awesome. But if you're looking for something that's gonna be like, he's great or he's terrible, it's not gonna be that. So But it's very the filmmaking and Sebastian fucking Stan in that movie.
He's so good.
Jesus, he it's awesome because like he doesn't go in doing like the I'm Donald Trump. He doesn't do like the impression.
That's pretty good, actually. By the way, pretty good impression.
He doesn't do like the impression at the beginning. He's just like a guy, and you're like, that's right where you need to start with something like this. Like, don't go in doing like the cartoon, but gradually you see him kind of like adopting the persona. Joel Cohen, I believe, is like mentor.
Oh, okay.
You kind of see like how this guy sort of crafted him into becoming that guy.
Yeah.
And gradually he turns into like the guy that you see on TV.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like, that's a really, really strong movie. But like, again, if you're looking for it to be one way or the other, it's not. It's just very honest. And that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
So I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Other than that, I spent a lot of time with Ella.
Yeah.
She actually... That Salo movie, she was laying on my lap facing the TV. I'm not kidding. At one point, about midway through the movie, she turned around and laid looking at me as if to judge me. Like, what are we doing?
Why are you watching this? Yeah.
Why are we watching this movie? The cat's eyes said to me.
It's rough.
And that wasn't enough for you?
It was not.
Turn it off?
I couldn't.
Oh my God.
I'm one of those people, as I was just saying, like with like film in general. I am unflinching. I will watch everything because everything deserves a chance. It deserves to be explored, and I paid for it.
Yeah.
There's a sequence in that movie where I'm just like, can we get past this? Can we just please get past this?
Keep going. Is it the
Oh, where would you like to start?
No. It's okay.
Because it like right out of the gate, you're just like, oh, this is just disgusting. Like there's no like good part of the movie where you're like, this part feels like
this really
this
helped
is a
me
laugh
through
riot.
things. Yeah.
The fucking lady sits down and she starts telling her stories, and I'm like listening, and I'm like, oh, this is what we're going to do now. Great. Can someone just like give that lady something to do? That woman at the end who just like walks over to the window and jumps out. I'm like, I'm right with you.
Yeah.
She's like kills herself. I'm like, yeah. And you're a monster, and I hope you're burning in hell. But that's what I got. She's not a real person. Who am I?
Right. No, but
she's not a real
no,
person.
like if they were,
people like that.
Terrible,
Anybody
yeah.
who hurts anybody in such a manner, just I don't know. We talk about this stuff all the time.
Eat a bowl of fuck.
I don't like anything like that. I'm a firm believer that like what you should do in life is stop exploring hatred and just embrace love.
Right.
You know, don't hurt people. Don't belittle people. Don't. So that I see stuff like that, and I'm just like, oh, that's how evil a person can get. Cool. But I know I'm like, you know, sounding like I hated the movie. It's really well made. It's beautifully shot. It's just the subject matter is like, we dare you
intense.
to watch this depravity, and
yeah, and you feel it too.
Well, clearly it's trying to elicit a reaction from you, and it did that.
Yeah, it did exactly what it
so.
set out to do, and I had the opportunity not to watch it. I chose to. I do think the movie needed a laugh track, though.
Yeah, of course.
That's the only complaint.
Or a blooper reel.
A blooper reel,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh my god. Oh god.
She goes to jump out the window and she trips.
Oh!
Back to one.
Oh, wait, we can't. Oh, that was supposed to be a stunt.
Oh, no.
The actress really went for it.
Where's the mat? Oh, no.
Can we get
Matt.
someone?
No one said anything about a Matt.
Do we have like Gina Rowland on speed dial? Can we get her in here? She's good. And it's the 70s.
It is the 70s.
She's still out there.
Yeah, no, there are movies like that, though, that elicit such like a feeling that it's like I watched it once, I don't have to revisit it. And I think some of the images from movies like that just stay with you anyways. And you're like, I hate that so much. But there's a reason, yeah. There's
a movie... Criterion, if you're listening, please don't induct this so that I don't have to watch it. Everyone always tells me, like, did you ever watch a Serbian film? And I'm like,
oh my god, no.
I know what that is. I don't think it's for me.
Right.
Like, because like I love horror movies, but it's so funny. Like, you learn that there can actually be respectability.
Right.
Like it's like you look at like an
Yeah.
Art the Clown and then like a Michael Myers, and you're like, Michael Myers is sort of like
Classy.
classier. He's a classier slasher.
He's like the type of person that goes to like he folds the napkin and puts it on his lap, and then and Art the Clown's like, "Oh, give me that food." I
It's
don't know why he eats like Adam Sandler, but
it's funny. Like if you ever watch like any number of Hitchcock movies, when like you would see like the bad guys in them, they were always like in nice suits. And
Right.
they'd be like, it's like, oh, well, I tell you how I'm going to ruin your life. I'm going to pour you a brandy. And I'm like, that's so civil.
that's Michael.
Yeah.
That was Michael Myers.
Michael Myers is wearing like a hef robe,
Yeah,
pouring you drinks.
it's like Laurie Strode here. Here's
She's
some
just
wine.
like, oh, can we just get to this?
Yeah,
Yeah, because I know you can't talk, but you're somehow miming a speech. It's weird.
yeah.
But we don't have to stay on that.
No.
What the fuck are we doing here today?
All right, today we're going off a pick from
Shequels alumni.
Shequels alumni.
Alumna.
Alumna?
Yes.
Alumna.
Is that did I say that wrong?
Well,
Yeah.
for a woman, for a singular woman, it's alumna.
Is it?
I never knew that.
I didn't know
And
that
for
either.
yeah,
I'm trash.
I know. I'm glad.
for a singular man, it's alumnus.
Hold on.
Oh.
one second.
Alumni is plural.
Hold on 1 second.
Oh.
Hold on 1 second.
Take notes.
Frequels
There will be a
is-
quiz.
Frequels is very sorry for all the people that we've offended.
Offended over the years.
For all you alumnas out there who
Yeah.
who were clutching your pearls.
Well, no, it's alumni is the plural.
Not even paying attention in the moment.
No,
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
actually very
I know.
intoxicated.
I picked
Yeah.
this movie, is what they're trying to say.
Yes. Yeah. So
we watched a movie.
what? Yeah.
Jesus.
We watched this movie.
Rory, get out.
I just need to lay
So
down.
this movie is something you saw in college?
Yes. So I was always very anti-horror.
Yeah.
I
Welcome
didn't-
to Frequels.
Yeah. Well, so growing up, I had like my older sister was into whatever like the popular horror movie was at the time, as teenagers
Like
are.
Saw.
But so when we were
Yeah.
in high school and stuff, it was like Saw.
Right.
And I had a couple of friends who were like the edgy kids that watched the, scary movies they weren't supposed to. And so again, it was like Saw. Yeah.
That was
And
us.
I was, as a kid, not ready for that kind of thing. So I was always like, nope, that's not for me. I wrote it off completely. But one of my best friends that I went to high school and college with him was a big horror fan and like a connoisseur. So shout out to Nick Bicknell. I love you.
He was an alumni of your school.
He's an alumni.
Is that
Right.
is that what I did?
But so
to-
he
Alumni.
he got me to sit down and watch some horror movies with him. He like curated some horror movies for me that he was like, I think you'll find these compelling and interesting. And so that kind of like opened up my cinematic palette. And the first movie that we watched with that made me go, okay, yes, this is something I want to do, was Lake Mungo. So it's always really stuck with me
Awesome.
because it's the movie that made me like horror as a genre.
oh,
Yeah.
neat.
Yeah.
That's awesome. No, that's really cool. This was
Mine
my
was
first.
Salo, the 120 days of Sodom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's really cool. Your pick, like, so you picked this movie, and I actually never watched it before. So this was like my first time.
Had you ever heard
seeing
of it? Because some
I-
people have heard of it but never seen it. It's kind of a like cult
Yeah,
classic.
I have heard of it, and I remember even talking to you about it at one point because you're like, oh, make sure to check that movie out, and I was like, oh, okay. And
It's
I
been my
added it
go-to
to
rec for a long time.
Yeah, I added that to my list, and I was like, okay, because I have my IMDb list, my watch list, and so anytime someone recommends something, I
You just
add
rip
it to
it
my
up when you get home.
yeah, I just
You
rip
just
it up
take the recommendation, wipe your mouth with it.
and throw it away.
You know-
No, but I added it to my watch list, and I'm still going through that watch list. But no, it was cool to finally watch this movie for the podcast, and yeah, I thought it was cool. How about you?
I actually heard of it through Red Letter Media,
Oh, okay.
who I'm a
Big,
big
fan.
fan of. I love them. They're like the best thing on the internet. But the one guy on there, he was like talking about something that he just found to be very like chilling, was like Mungo. So I was like, I should look this movie up and just see how it is. interesting first experience. We'll talk about it in the episode. But I had a very different experience my second time. More favorable, but I remember watching it. It's the worst thing that can happen to you is that someone can say, "This is the scariest movie you've ever seen." And I watch it, I'm like, all right, I guess you haven't seen a whole lot of movies. You should check out Salo, the 120 Days of Sodom. But then I know, Chris Stuckman is the film critic on YouTube. No. I know he has that Shelby Oaks movie coming out. I know he said one of his big influences was
this
Mungo. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of popping up a lot. Jordan Peele.
Yeah. He said this was one of
really
the creepiest
scary
movies. Yeah.
So it's it seems like it's getting.
I've heard a lot of people talking about it recently, whereas before. So I first saw it in 2011, so a couple years after it came out, and it was almost completely unknown then. But yeah, the last couple of years I've heard it tossed around in conversation a couple of times
lately.
So I don't know if that's just an effect of streaming being making things much more accessible. You can stumble across something in a way that you couldn't necessarily before. If your video store didn't have a copy of it,
right,
then you wouldn't find it.
I'm a firm believer that quality always. Well, it's just that I think quality films eventually float to the surface.
Yeah,
because if you make a really interesting good movie, eventually people are gonna find it.
And I think something that's served it really well, just as it, ages like a fine wine on the shelf as people discover it, gradually, is the fact that they kind of kept this enigma about it. The writer, director, didn't really do anything after that. And a lot of the performers didn't really do much after that. They worked in television in Australia. They were, local actors more. But so it kept this really genuine quality to it because of that. And so I think that's even more compelling now when everything feels very prepackaged and glossy and polished to within an inch of its life.
Yeah.
To go back and see this thing that is kind of grainy and a little rambling, but really sincere.
Right.
And authentic.
And I believe it was, I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but it was part of the After Dark Horror Fest collection. Do you remember that?
Oh, I do remember that. Yeah.
And the mid 2000s, I'm going to attribute a lot of this to Saw and The Devil's Rejects. Horror kind of popped again as it does.
Right.
It was kind of wow, this is neat. So there were things like After Dark, the Horror Fest, Masters of Horror, which I was a huge fan of.
Right.
Where they were taking these movies that were maybe not going to get big distributors, and they would just kind of slap this label on it and throw it out. Most of them, if memory serves, for After Dark Horror Fest were not great, and you're oh, you conned me.
Yeah.
There's a reason no one wanted to see this. But this is one of those ones where I'm okay, this has a lot of merit. It's very well. Again, we'll get into it, but it's it definitely has a quality to it that I'm the second time around I was
this is I watched it a couple of times since the first time, but not I think since college have I watched it, and definitely going back now, a little older, a little wiser, and having a daughter.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
That the movie really hits different.
Yeah.
Probably not as hard as for me having a girl cat. That's
probably
much more profound.
It might be the same.
I think I'm actually.
You might.
You just don't get it, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Whatever.
No, one thing that's crazy about this. So this movie came out 2008, correct?
It's 7.
2007. Yeah. So I think Paranormal Activity came out 2008 or 2007.
It was 2009, I think.
Okay. So which kind of after Paranormal Activity, you just saw so many found footage films that have come out.
You can call it crap if you'd like.
Well, yeah. But there were so
some
many
of it's
found.
Good. I'm just kidding.
No, there are some really good ones,
snarky.
but there were a lot that.
Well, the same thing happened after Blair Witch Project. You get a movie that does something really innovative and does it in a really compelling way that just captures an audience, and then everybody wants
To
a crack at
capitalize
it.
on it. Yeah.
Either to just capitalize on it or be like, I think I found a way that I can like do it better in this aspect, you know?
Yeah.
So you just like, it floods the market, and then people are like, oh my God, I'm so fucking sick of this. And then that goes away for a while. And then
Right.
somebody goes, hey, the Blair Witch was really good, and that was a really cool genre. Let's do this. And then suddenly everybody freaks out about it again.
Yeah. I think like what I really enjoyed about this movie in particular, and then we'll get into the breakdown and stuff, but I liked that it was a documentary and it wasn't strictly found footage, you know, and so many movies just were like, I'm going to take that and just run with it and just tell like a linear story through the found footage.
Yeah.
This had like found footage in it, but it was mostly a documentary style, like a mockumentary. And I felt like, well, not mockumentary, but, you know, like a fake documentary. And I
Isn't that a
love that.
mockumentary? Isn't that
I
the
guess,
term?
right?
Yeah.
So, but to me, I was like, oh, this is a really cool, innovative film. And I could see why this, you know, the cream rises to the top, right? This is why this movie probably has that longevity that a lot of those other movies kind of like
It was like an
fell to the
earnestness
wayside.
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You honestly wouldn't know that it's not a documentary if you didn't stay for the entire credits, because they have the like initial credits that are like a little more artistic and like intercut with other footage and stuff like that. But
Right.
you have to stay until the actual like rolling credits start to see that it says cast.
Yeah.
And it tells you these are characters, these are actors.
That's the critique I have for this movie. I think they should have not done that.
You think
they shouldn't have had
kept
the cast
it?
list at all?
No, I think they should have just kind of like had the name come up and just call it a day.
Yeah.
Because I feel like what works for a film like this is the mystique of like, did that happen?
Is that real?
Yeah, because there's nothing in it that happens that is.
They might have legally needed to give people credit for, because they are professional actors. I mean, they purposefully tried to find people, like I said, who were kind of unknown.
Better way to phrase this then.
Yeah.
I think maybe it would have been better if in the documentary, if all the like the actors, like if they use their real names. Do you know what I mean? Rather than giving them character names, just something to.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just something to maintain, because they did that with the Blair Witch. It's like
Right.
Heather, Josh, and Mike. That was their real names. So
Yeah, they
like,
just didn't use surnames.
yeah, so you're just like, oh fuck,
Yeah.
did that happen?
That
Because
really
the second you
happened?
see like a cast name come up, you're like, this was okay.
Oh.
Because there's
Yeah.
literally nothing in this film
Yeah.
that can't happen.
Right. Like that
It's
guy that played the
ambiguous.
psychic in this, I was like, that seems like a real
Dad?
Dad? Is that you? No, but
then
Ray-
also this was before people stayed for the well, I'm kind of weird.
Right.
I love to stay for the credits, and I
Yeah,
always
same.
have.
Me too.
Same.
When I was a kid going with my family, they would have to tell me like, it's time to go now, and I'm like, but the best boy worked really hard on this movie, and somebody deserves to read his name on the screen. Good for
Right.
you, Mike Johnson or whatever.
yeah.
Mike Johnson's listening to Freakquels right now, and he's
Yeah.
like, yes, yeah. He
Shout
remembers
out to Mike,
me.
I love you.
You did such a good job. You really are the best boy.
You are the best boy.
You're the best boy.
But yeah, like
You
before.
hear that, honey?
He's just crying.
Because his wife was just screaming at him before this thing.
I made it. We're gonna be okay.
It's gonna be okay. Duke's gonna be okay.
Pulls the gun out of his mouth. He's like, not today. Not today.
Oh.
God bless you, Meggie.
But
yeah.
like before, I am blessed. I received that blessing from Mike Johnson, best boy, canonical best boy.
The person who was actually like the best boy in this movie's name is not Mike Johnson.
No, I don't remember.
No.
Hang on, let me pull up the IMDb.
Yeah.
No, but like before Marvel, people didn't really like. It was not really a thing for people to be like, we have to stay for the credits and see what's gonna happen next.
I was doing that
loved it.
long before the
But-
Marvel stuff because I
Well,
had
I mean,
a
like us nerds
Yeah,
were,
yeah.
but most audiences were not. Now people usually stay for
conditioned.
at least like half to see if there's going to be some sort of cutscene or button.
I would like I loved watching in credits because I'm such a song nerd. I'd be like, oh, I know the songs come at the end, and I'm gonna write them all
Yeah.
down so I
Yeah.
can like look into those.
th- Mine was always like the
EJ,
score.
have you heard of the soundtrack?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
you can go.
Too poor.
I'm too poor. I didn't
you
hear
could have
that.
just gone to
No, well,
to Best Buy.
I
and
know,
got the soundtrack.
most likely, well, back in the day, they would do soundtracks for almost like every single movie. But then there was like a point where like some songs wouldn't be on the soundtrack. Like for example, like Scream, right? There's a song by Republica called Drop Dead Gorgeous, which is in the movie, but it's not on the soundtrack. So I would have to be like, what is this song? Oh, it's Drop Dead Gorgeous by Republica. Oh, no, I know.
Did you ever see the
You had a really deep voice as a kid.
I did. I lightened up.
Did you ever listen to the score to Lake Mungo? It goes.
It's good. What is that?
Alice?
Alice, is that you?
Let's party though. We gotta get going.
Yeah. All right.
no, it's fine.
Let's do this.
Let's fucking move on.
So the film starts with some old-timey photos and a few voiceovers talking about Alice. Then we have this title card that states, in 2005, a tragic accident happened that began a series of events that put a grieving family in the spotlight. So we hear...
So it starts with laughs.
It starts with a lot of LOLs.
Big LOL.
And then we hear the emergency call from the mother made about Alice gone missing. And it turns out they were at the lake that day. And she went out, like, swimming. And then all of a sudden they couldn't find her. And she went missing. And we see, like, different news reports about the incident.
Did you like that interview that they did with Jason Voorhees?
Yeah, he was
like, oh, that's not one of my victims.
I did it. I had nothing to do with that. That ain't me, man.
Keep checking that leg. I know I didn't do it. But I own up to what I do.
Lawyer. I want my phone call.
Call my lawyer. So then we
wasn't even in Australia.
I'm in Crystal Lake.
I'm a Jersey guy.
Yeah. It's called Crystal Lake, not Lake Mungo.
I was just visiting. I go on vacation just like everyone else.
Just brought the wife and kids.
As soon as I get out of my comfort zone, you guys are all on me about shit.
This is crazy. Hello, I wasn't even there. And then we see her family recounting their last final moments with her. The brother, the father, and the mother. And I actually really liked the performances from the family.
It's incredibly authentic.
So authentic. Like, I believed that was her father. Like, there was something, like, so real. It didn't feel like a performance. It really felt like an authentic.
Every single person interviewed in this.
In June, like the mother,
real.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there wasn't actually, like, a script that was written.
Insane.
There were, like, plot points, obviously, and there were bits that were like, okay, here's everything in this section of your interview. Here are, like, the key points that you need to hit. But then the actors improvised, so they were just coming up with it off the cuff to make it seem authentic, like an interview. And the interviewer's voice that you hear occasionally throughout the film, that is the writer-director.
Joel Anderson.
And yes, and he is the only member of the cast that's uncredited. Because he wanted to be invisible in the film.
Should have gotten cool. John Larroquette.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a Texas Chainsaw Massacre joke.
Yeah.
Not really a joke. It's a fact.
So,
fuck you, audience.
We see that she was with her family at the lake and disappeared while swimming. Then we see the grandparents, and even with the grandparents, they kind of throw shade at June Palmer, who's the mother. And they're like, yeah, she's not connected. Yeah, I was like, wait, what?
There's a reason we don't invite them over anymore.
And we get, like, different interviews with her circle of friends. Like, Alice is the girl who went missing, Alice Palmer, and they're all shocked by the news of Alice's disappearance. And then we see through the police footage. So at this point, she's just missing, like, and in the movie, we don't know, like, what exactly happened. But then they kind of tell you that through the police and through their found footage and interviews with the sergeant, they ended up recovering Alice's body, and the family came to identify the body at the lake.
Well, the dad did.
The dad did. The
parents,
mother stayed in.
It happened in the middle of the night, so the parents went, and the friends that were staying with them stayed with the younger brother.
Right.
But the mom waited in the car. She didn't go in.
Yeah, she didn't want to identify the daughter. So the father just went in by himself to look at the daughter, and then they show you the image, and she looks like Samara from The Ring a little bit, or a victim of The Ring, right?
Yeah, the waterlogged corpse effect was so well done.
Yeah, it looked legit good.
And amazing, because they just show it through the crime scene photos. I guess it's not a crime, but the photos at the scene, and then they show some that look like she's at the coroner's office. Right. So really harsh lighting, and at the lake you can tell that it's they used a really hard flash.
Yes.
And
yeah.
stuff. And so you'd think that would take away from the makeup effects or whatever they did. I don't even know if they put the actress in makeup or if they had a dummy.
They actually drowned the actress for the movie.
Oh, that's why she was never in anything else.
Yeah, they're we want to keep this as authentic as humanly possible.
Yeah. No, but you're right. You would think a flash like that would be something most filmmakers would avoid. But they were no, let's do a hard flash like you would see for most crime scenes. It
really it made it so stark and stunning.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that they used those photos very sparingly, you really just see them in a couple of places where they're just this is what it looked like. And they just allow you to be shocked, and then they take them away, and it's you don't need to see that again. And you remember what it looked like.
Yeah, she's waterlogged, super pale, as white as the dress that she's wearing, and her hair is all soaking wet, but her mouth is agape too. Her mouth is kind of twisted open in a weird way. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's very scary because you look at it and you're just wow, that's just what a human being is.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? You're just it's just because I overthink everything. So I'm watching this movie and I'm man, that girl was just floating around in that water.
Yeah.
In the dark. Just all waterlogged, and it's just
and that happens.
It does. Yeah. And it's very. The movie does a very, very good job of consistently being authentic
and real.
And it gets right to that party, and it's I don't want to die.
I know.
I want to watch Salo.
Even when they don't directly address things, there's no point in that first sequence where they say, and then we figured, she's dead. She's definitely dead. We're just looking for a body right now. But they say, so the search and rescue team continued, and we sent the family home and said that we would call them when there was something to call them about. And you go, okay, that's the moment when they said she's dead.
Right.
We're not, this is not a rescue. This is a search and recover. And the family doesn't say no, we knew she was dead at that point, but you can tell that there's just this shell shock about them when they're talking about it. And then we drove home, and her seat was empty in the car, and it was so weird because what do you do with that information? And that everybody understands that she's gone at that point, but nobody says it.
Yeah.
And it's chilling.
Yeah. It's really and especially the dad recounting everything. He's I feel she never got that closure for the mother.
Oh yeah, because she didn't go see the body. Yeah,
and so she never
Which
had
plays
that
into
full closure.
That plays into the rest of the movie, really.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it does, yeah. Especially
mom,
later on with certain stuff.
Yeah,
there's certain things that they say in this movie that I just find to be very sad. There's a part where they talk about how they were all celebrating or together for Christmas, and they're and she's just laying dead in a morgue somewhere.
Yes.
And it's just that kind of shit that you just kind of quietly think about.
Yeah, the grandparents are we went to visit them for Christmas, because this all happens early December.
As an American, you forget that they're out having a beach day at this reservoir. That is, we should say the lake where she drowns is not the titular Lake Mungo.
Right.
It's a dammed reservoir.
This is Lake Jungo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very similar, but
That's
not the same.
Super close.
But yeah, like as Americans, we forget that like, yeah, no, it's summer in Australia
Right.
in December. Of course, they're out swimming and enjoying a beautiful, hot, sunny day. But yeah, so that's like an added element that maybe wasn't like intentional by the filmmakers, but you have to keep reminding yourself like, oh yeah, this is Christmas time.
Yeah.
And like everybody's coming together and everybody's celebrating and like, so great to see the kids. And she's not there.
Right. She's, like you said, in the morgue. And
yeah.
the grandparents like bring that up and you're like, oh.
Yeah, it's like that's like real life stuff.
Yeah.
Although I will say that all this stuff that I find very human, very real, was completely ruined when the dad saw her for the first time. Like, crikey!
Crikey. Look at that one.
What a log she is!
Good eye, mate. No,
Very sensitive, Lake Mungo.
I do feel like it is hilarious.
It
Not
is funny.
hilarious.
I know, it's very funny.
No,
very funny.
But the dad talks about, he's like, on the way home, the car stalled and would only work in reverse. So I literally drove the car all the way home in reverse, and it shows like a car driving in reverse as like you know, like
Yeah, so thinking like they had to go get B-roll. Like if you're thinking
Right.
about the in-universe documentary crew, they
Right.
had to have some PA go drive on this road in the outback at night backwards.
yeah,
this isn't safe.
yeah. Oh, we have to get this for the reenactment part. They're like,
Yeah.
can we leave this part out? Like the dad could just tell this.
But I will say, thematically, very important.
Right.
That they are driving backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From this pivotal moment where they go and they identify their daughter's body and they have to say like, yep, she's gone. Then they can't move forward. They have to
Right.
go backwards. Thematically important in this movie.
Yeah.
I
love that.
just drive backwards all the time, so I didn't really notice.
Yeah.
I'm
You're just
fi-
trying to save mileage
Yeah,
on your
that's
car.
what all the warrants are for, Rory.
Well, you know,
Uh,
can't charge me until you catch me, America.
So the family holds a funeral for Alice after Christmas, 10 days later. And then weird stuff started happening around the house. There's strange noises and doors randomly slamming. The mother, June, is having like these horrible nightmares to the point where she is like, I can't sleep. I have to like stay awake and walk. And she would actually walk through the neighborhood. And she admits like she would go into like her neighbors' houses.
Yeah, just like whoever's door
And
was
imagine
unlocked.
like what normal lives they have compared to like her nightmarish
She's-
What
life.
are you doing in my house? Oh, you guys just had a real normal family.
Yeah.
She's
Call the
haunting
police.
them.
She's haunting them.
She's
yeah.
haunting them. And this comes very shortly after June, the mother, her mother, so Alice's grandmother,
Right.
says that the reason that June and Alice like had so much trouble connecting was because they were so alike that they
Right.
were practically the same person, and so they didn't know how they could like fit together. It's like trying to force two magnets together.
Yeah.
You know, they don't complement each other. So here we are talking about how Alice is gone. She's buried. She's supposed to be at rest. Closure. And now June is haunting the neighborhood.
Yes.
Wild.
Yeah. The mother is just like out there wandering around, and even like the friends are commenting in the documentary. They're like, "Oh yeah, like we knew Mike's mom or the brother's mom, like is just out there wandering into different houses and stuff." And you're like, "Oh, that's really crazy to think about," but not really, because if you're like really struggling with the loss of someone,
Yeah. And it's a
it
small
makes
community.
sense. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like think about, like I grew up in a small town that was a very close-knit community, and like when, somebody went through something real bad, everybody kind of gave them a little bit of leeway. They were like, yeah, no, they're struggling.
Cut them some slack.
We're just gonna send a casserole over and like ask them if they're okay and if they want to talk.
Yeah.
So like it's a
We're gonna
weird,
leave it on our
extreme-
counter, so if you'd like to haunt our house later and pick it up.
But it's an extreme situation, an extreme example. But you could kind of see how maybe people who were also grieving, like other people knew this girl, and so
Right.
they're also grieving the loss of someone that they knew, and they don't really know how to help this woman who's going through the worst thing that she'll ever go through.
Exactly.
And so they're like, okay, I guess if she's not hurting anyone, and she just needs a place to go sit for a while that's not the house that her daughter is not in.
Yeah.
Then we'll let her.
If you're not breaking into people's houses and hurting them, you're not living.
Exactly.
Yeah, like that's the main reason you break into someone's house.
For the rush.
Yeah, I get such a rush when I just hurt people. But anyway, we're not here to talk about me.
So the father, Russell, however, is dealing with it in a different way, where he's like throwing himself into working, and he's working a lot. But one night in February, he has an encounter with Alice in her bedroom, where he sees her. She's like sitting at the desk. She has her pencil and she's looking at her phone, and she yells at him, get out of my room. Typical ghost.
I was going to say, I was like laughing at that part because I'm like,
too.
even in the afterlife, these kids can't stop fucking texting.
Still, yeah.
What I thought was great about that scene was that he talks about how he like didn't really understand why he was doing it. He was almost trance-like when he went in, and then he just sat in her room and just sort of waited. It was like, what am I doing? He's haunting her room.
Right.
And so, like, think about it from this specter's perspective. She's just doing her own thing. She goes into her room. She's doing some homework. She's checking a text message, and then she looks over and sees something that might be her dad. Like, we don't know what it would look like from her perspective.
Right.
And so she's like, get out of here. So they're just like this recurring theme of the living are haunting.
Yes.
This narrative.
It's awesome.
I think it's so cool.
Yeah. And I also love that at one point you're questioning, the mother's mental state a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then the father comes out and tells this story, and you're like, oh, because at one point you're he seems like the logical one. Like, I saw the body, he has like the closure that the mother didn't. Mm-hmm. And so when he tells the story, you're like, oh shit, because you're not expecting it at all. And then he lays this out there, and you're like, oh no, like he's also having an experience too.
Just need to comment on the bedroom. That's a very clean room for a teenager.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no like pizza box on the bed, machete on the floor, normal teenage kid stuff, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that stuff too, right?
Yeah.
Well, we do only see the room when there's very definitely not a teenager living in it anymore.
True.
That's true.
Yeah. The parents probably cleaned it up for the documentary.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah, I don't know.
Most likely.
I thought I was going to go somewhere with this, but I'm going to just give up.
So then we meet. We get a little.
Oh, it's a ghost motorcycle.
Oh, no.
Oh, it's the Ghost Rider.
So then we get some info about Matthew, who's Alice's brother. And
a little fuckface.
And he took losing his sister really hard and started bruising randomly. Like he started just getting bruises on his body, and they don't know where it comes from, and it's unexplained.
Well, he's part orange, right?
But he is.
Yeah.
But he really dives into his photography and his photos of the background. He's like, taking pictures of the backyard as like this experiment. And in one of them, the sister, Alice, shows up by the fence.
Mm-hmm. Well, because he's doing that like photography project where he sets up the camera in the exact same spot on the tripod or the tripod, and he takes a photo of their backyard every couple of months, and he's been doing it for years, and so it's like a progression of time.
Yeah.
And then the first photo that he takes after she's passed, we see the specter.
The specter of his sister.
Who's texting.
Who's texting. Still on her damn phone.
But I love Matthew's photos because they are, again, very authentic to what somebody who's like a talented, like they've got some raw talent, but they're a student. They're still learning. He's a teenager taking photos. So some of them are blurry. Some of them aren't, like perfect. But there's still like there's something.
One's so blurry. It's not like how like one is like a creative blurry that you're like like the light effect.
This is somebody
cool.
playing with
Yeah. But there's one that's
shutter
just like
speed.
a blurry
Yeah.
shot. I'm like, why would they pick that as one of his like good pictures?
Yeah.
He's like, guys, I got a portfolio filled with really good ones. Like,
But
this sounds perfect.
They really did look like student photos that somebody who was like putting together a portfolio would take.
There's just one photo.
Yeah,
that's
there's
really
one where it's like
a bad photo.
Let the shutter go, dude.
Right. But yeah, so then we see where, June, Alice's mother, thought that Alice may still be alive, and that's when the father kind of elaborates. He's like, June had it in her mind, like, hey, maybe she's still alive, and all these strange noises, and like this picture, like,
and the videos, because after the photo, then Matthew sets up some
cameras,
like some camcorders, and we see in the middle of the night when everybody else is asleep, we see somebody walk past a doorway, or you zoom in on a spot in Alice's room, and you see somebody that looks like Alice sitting there just like chilling in her room and
texting.
still on her goddamn phone. God.
I get really good reception in the afterlife.
Yeah, she gets really good. Must be AT&T.
That'd be a good like Verizon commercial.
Yeah,
we'll give you good reception even in death.
Can you hear me now?
Mom, I'm on the other side. This is a really sad, morbid commercial.
Get out. They just play Amityville. But because of June insisting that maybe the father was mistaken with identifying the body, they asked for Alice's body to be exhumed to make sure to have a DNA test.
And again, just the shot of the little kid coffin, just very unsettling.
And
so we're all just gonna go into one of those.
Yeah, and this is like the point where the father, again, awesome, real grounded acting. He's like, yeah, we have her exhumed to do a DNA test to prove that it is in fact Alice, and it is. But he's at one point he's like, I'm praying to myself, like, please let it be a mistake, let it be some other girl,
Let be someone else's kid.
Yeah, like he literally is like a drifter or some like
a drifter,
other person,
a runaway.
Yeah,
anybody else's kid, but not my kid.
Yeah,
that line, just not my kid. Like, oh, that hits hard.
That's rough.
Yeah, it's really good. I like the whole family. They're all incredible in this movie. But I did like that from the dad. I feel like that's a line that really stuck out.
Yeah, and that's one of the scenes where like, so the characters as we see them in the film, they're being interviewed, so they're trying to be composed and speak clearly and as eloquently as they can off the cuff, but then there are these moments where you see them start to lose some composure as they talk about something that's like really emotional, and that's one of those moments for Russell where he gets a little choked up and like a little glassy-eyed, and then he just tamps it back down and he's like, but yeah, it was Alice, so like we confirmed that it was my kid in the lake.
It's heartbreaking.
And he just like goes back to like, and I'm doing an interview now, and it's like, oh man, that's
because he definitely comes off as like the more logical grounded one, and then the mother is kind of like really searching for like a greater purpose of everything, and kind of has like that holding on to the belief that her daughter's still alive.
I also feel like that there's a line in it where the mom says something about, because they were like talking about how they weren't able to like connect, like she was like not able to connect with her own mother,
right?
Yeah,
she didn't connect with her the way that you want to, and she's like, you really hope that she knew like how she felt.
Yeah,
I feel like there's like some part of the mom just that wants to be able to communicate that.
Yeah.
Well, and the weird thing is, I mean, as the movie progresses, right, we kind of see it that the mother is connected to her, right? Like, and spiritually,
for sure.
Like she's
she
not
spends
wrong,
the whole movie
right?
trying to figure out what was going on in Alice's head.
Yeah.
Like, how did she feel about this? Why did she do this? Why did she do that? who was this person?
Yeah.
On a level that I didn't get I just didn't get insight into when she was here in front of me.
Right.
Again, when the grandmother brings up like, oh yeah, I didn't really have a connection with June didn't really have a connection with Alice, and they kind of like just come out and say that like, yeah, no, there's like a generational thing going on where we're just sort of like the mothers are just not mothering, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
You could probably like chalk it up to some type of like depression or something.
Yeah,
Because there's a lot of like time spent on these photos where it's like they're smiling but the eyes aren't matching type of thing.
yeah, they're
especially
smiling
with
for
the
the
daughter.
camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can see that there's something going
Like
on
especially
in
June
Alice's
and
head.
Alice. Like
Yeah.
there's something like where they might be smiling in the photos, but they're like their eyes.
Yeah, they're just not
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But again, it's this theme of like things being cyclical or going backwards, or when the grandmother talks about like how they went over to just sort of be there when they were like searching for Alice's body and stuff like that. Or no, it's June that says it was so wrong. It was backwards, that it was me and my mother
Right.
waiting on confirmation that Alice was gone. Because, you know, the natural order of things is
Right.
that children will bury their parents, not the other way around.
I would hope to bury my children.
You might be the
Ella, if you're listening, run.
Oh no,
Run.
no, not her. I'm talking human.
Yeah.
Hey, do you guys feel like they missed out on a good opportunity to have to get like the DNA test back, and they're like, this is not Alice. This is Alice's evil twin.
Ooh.
An evil twin.
Or do like
Yeah.
a Rory thing.
Yeah.
Like, it is Alice, but Russell,
And she's
you
pregnant.
are not the father.
Good news, your grandparents.
Wow.
Bad news, she's dead. No.
Nothing changes. She's still dead.
your grandparents also know you're not.
Yeah.
I would have liked an evil twin subplot.
Yeah.
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 Like she knocks on the door and they're like, Alice, you're alive. And she's like, no, my name is Malice.
Malice.
That was
and-
all right.
Yeah, that was all right.
That was pretty quick.
Yeah, that was
I didn't
good.
know where the fuck I was going with that, but it landed. Anyway, move on so that I can
yeah. So
talk about this movie more.
June reaches out
Very funny.
to a guy named Ray Camoni, and he's like a famous local radio host.
I think they changed
slash
his name because his
psychic.
other name didn't have like a good psychic ring to it.
Yeah.
It was like Harold Hirschmeyer or something like that. I don't know. I just made that up.
Oscar Mayer.
Oscar Meyer, yeah.
Yeah.
He's like,
No.
I don't want them to
I
ask.
think it was like Zolst.
Zolst.
Yeah,
Zool.
because it was some like
He's from Turkey originally, right?
I
Or,
think
no,
Hungary.
Hungary.
Yeah,
Hungary.
he's-
Yeah.
so
No, he was
had-
hungry for turkey.
Yeah,
he
that's
had-
right.
So he was Hungarian, and
Yeah.
he changed his name to something that seemed a little more like Australian and
Right.
you know.
It's like,
Ray.
Cody.
It's-
Ray.
Yeah.
Commodity.
But yeah, he's like a radio psychic. He's like the Long Island medium.
But he actually, the weird thing is like, again, a very like authentic performance. I felt like this guy was a real psychic. Like if
This guy.
this guy, but so June reaches out to him and they start doing sessions, and he does a session with her, and eventually they organize to do a seance at the house. And Matthew suggested, hey, like, why don't I film it? Because I've been filming the different videos in the house. And in the footage of the seance, you kind of see Alice in the background.
Texting.
But they decided after the setup, let's set up more cameras in the house, capturing even more images of Alice as it, like, kept
Oh
going.
yeah, and that's when
Yeah.
they get those. So that's before the exhumation then, isn't it? Because those videos are the evidence that they use to say we need to do an
Right.
exhumation.
Yeah, well, no, well, at first they exhumed, and then I think after, right?
No, I thought it was the other way around.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
It was after they found out about Malice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is as soon as like this stuff was coming out with the videos, like the more they are seeing Alice, it turns out it was Matthew who faked all the footage and photos, and he admits to it. And the mom it kind of like destroys her hopes a little bit.
Hey, you know what? They just kind of brushed past it. Like, I think there should have been like a good sequence where they're just like shaking that kid by the shoulders. Like, what the fuck were you thinking?
Well, he says this is why it just clicked for me. So he says that excuse me, he did it to provide evidence for the exhumation because they wouldn't just exhume the body if the family was like, can you pretty please? Like, you got to get permits and somebody has to sign off on that. But if they had gone and said, we think she might be alive and maybe just like scared to come home because everybody thinks she's dead because we have photos of somebody moving around the house. We have, videos and like, it looks like her and maybe she's like, hiding in the basement. And he says, I did this hoax to provide the evidence so that we could get the exhumation so that my mother could get the closure of looking at the body.
So I kind of get where you're going with that, but it's like, why make her look like a ghost?
Yeah.
Why not just make her look like a regular girl? Like Photoshop her just standing in the trees texting or something. But the movie is a little confusing with his rationale.
Right.
Again, he's a teenage boy.
But
so
I call it a plot point.
But some of the stuff he's doing is pretty
sociopathic.
Clever. Yeah, and sociopathic. But yeah, no, he is setting up like TVs to reflect off of a mirror and put the cameras in the hallways so it looks like you're seeing Alice, but really it's like old footage of her.
Yeah, and because of
it's crazy. Because
of the size and shape of the mirrors and where he places the screens that are playing the images, the frame of like the TV is cut out in the mirror. Yeah. So you don't see that it's a TV, you just see Alice. Right. I thought that was really clever.
Yeah, he like is framing it in a way that you're like, oh, there's a person in that room, but you're seeing like the reflection.
He's so clever. You know what they should have done? They should have showed the outside of the house, and you just hear those parents screaming at him. Right. Because they're just like, Matthew was just trying to get her exhumed. I'm like, there are other ways you could have went about that.
But then there's that moment where the interviewer asks, do you think that this hoax ultimately hurt your mother deeply?
He's like, I don't care.
But he has this look on his face that like he's kind of heartbroken being confronted with that. He knows that it was not the right thing to do. He knows that he was a dumb teenager and was like, how about I do a fraud and get them to dig up the body? But there's just that moment where like he gets just a tiny little bit teared up and he's like, no, it was not a good idea. And it was a bad thing. I did not help at all.
The father jumps in the shot and starts shaking him. It's just like, wipe that tear off your fucking face. You ruined your mother.
June, Alice's mother, takes this loss like officially really hard, right? She's like, oh, I like all that hope that I had kind of is now gone.
Welcome to the club, June.
And then we see like where as they're talking about certain things, we find out that Matthew has gone away on a trip with the psychic to film some of his, psychic.
He's kind of on like a
encounters.
tour.
Yeah.
That's just code for they put him up for adoption for being a monster.
But while he's out, the cameras do in fact catch images of Alice, because they still had like a camera set up and that he had that were up for like a day and a half, I think he says. And he was out of the house, so it wasn't him tampering with it. And so in the one video, the mother spotted something that she was like, we spotted like the fake Alice thing, but there was actually a real person in Alice's room in that very first video. And that's when this movie takes like a spin that I was not ready for at all.
Yes.
Before we shift forward into that stuff, I just want to say, because we didn't really get to touch on it much. Sometimes with horror movies, stillness is chilling, right?
Oh, yeah.
So like those photographs, whenever they like push into the face and the background, it is so effective.
Yeah.
Like you don't always have to have like somebody jump up and do the jump scare thing where you're like, and you're just like, you got me.
Yeah.
It's just like that quiet. and the stillness of everything. It's just
making you sit with that tension
Yeah.
for a minute.
Or just that, like, you can't even, you know what it does for me? It makes it so that it's like you feel like you can't even trust your own eyes. Because you have like these photos and you just, because you're so busy in life and you're just kind of going through things so quickly that maybe somewhere in the background there is something watching you. And you just don't see it.
Yeah.
Have fun sleeping tonight, fuckers.
Especially the seance one. The seance one's crazy because you don't even see it at all.
Yeah, no. Like, every time they have to push in.
Yeah, and they push
like,
really in
here it
to
is.
see it. Yeah.
I feel like I'm watching Barry Lyndon.
Yeah.
Except that's more of like a pull out, but
Whatever.
It's still awesome.
Yeah.
But still great.
It's like a dolly out, zoom out type of thing. It's really cool.
like,
hey, Stanley Kubrick, if you're listening, we like you.
It's interesting that, like, I feel like the one true jump scare in the movie is when they show the photos of the body after they discover it, because you're just not expecting it, and then they're just like, boom, here's the body. So that's the one real, like, jump scare that you're startled by.
Right.
But then all of these other, you know, the photos and the videos of somebody and something moving around, and you're like, wait, is that what I think it is? What am I seeing? It's just like you're sitting there with the tension and there's no real release with it. So then you just have to be uncomfortable for a minute.
Yeah.
And deal with it.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Because especially like I said, the seance is insane because you really do, as they zoom in, and you don't make anything out at all. It just looks like something far in the distance. Like it doesn't even look like a person at first. And as you get closer, you're like, oh my God, it looks just like Alice.
Yeah.
But to create that whole scenario is like genius. And
Yeah.
It looks so good. But yeah, so in the one video, the mother spots the neighbor in Alice's room.
This guy,
Brett Toohey. And apparently
what was his name?
Brett Toohey?
Tui. Yeah.
Yeah.
This fucking guy.
This
Fucking
guy,
guy. So
America's sweetheart,
America's sweet.
Australian's problem.
sweetheart. Yeah. Australian's problem. It's so good. This guy, so apparently, as we find out, this neighbor who was married and had kids,
And Alice babysat those kids. She
Alice
was their
babysat,
babysitter.
yeah.
But
and he is in her room, and the reason why is he's trying to steal a sex tape, pretty much, that he made with Alice and his wife. And it's like them having like a threesome. Now, I didn't say this earlier, but in the movie they state it a lot that Alice is only 16 in this movie.
She's a minor.
When she dies, like, she's 16. It's not like she's 18. She's literally 16. So we find out that this neighbor snuck into the house with the hopes of, he knows she's dead, and he's like, well, I hope that video doesn't get out. I'm going to try to break into her room and find it. But he doesn't. But the mom does. And this is my only thing with this movie, because they don't ever clarify, right, that what happens to Brett Toohey. He just, like, takes off.
Yeah, no, by the time they find the video, and by the time they find him in the video, because they go back and they look at the old footage, and they're like, what the fuck is Brett doing in Alice's room at 3 a.m? And then they search the room, finally find, like, a locked safe, like a fire safety box, and watch the tape, which the clips that they show, like, are viscerally upsetting.
Yeah.
As they should be. Like, that's what they're trying to do. But, oh my God, watching those scenes is horrible. Yeah, they said that, like, probably about 6 months had elapsed between when he was actually in her room and when they found out that he had been in her room and they found the tape and all of that. And in those 6 months, that family had sold the house, moved, changed their names, gone off the grid. And so when they tried to go to the police and be like, this happened, they could not find them. And they go back to the sergeant from the beginning and interview her. And she's like, yeah, no, we've got, like, you know, alerts set up. And if they ever pop up anywhere, we'll find them. But
Yeah.
They're in the wind.
Yeah, that's why. So that was like my one only issue. I was like,
I know, I was so
I
mad
wish
about that.
there was like some kind of closure for that.
I want to throw them in the lake.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
isn't really a movie about closure. I've noticed.
No, it really.
It's,
Yeah,
it's a lot of what's upsetting about it is kind of like what's left unresolved.
Yeah.
But the search for closure and the inability to get it.
Well, apparently Australian police were like, we looked. That's it. We did our best.
If they pop up again, we'll get them.
Yeah. Hey, maybe they'll move. Maybe you guys will get lucky and they'll move back into the same house. Then we'll get them.
So
Man, you guys suck.
While the mother found this like lockbox, one of the things she found was like a daily planner kind of thing, and she found out that Ray Kimini, the psychic, had a business card. Like Alice had his business card in her calendar, and it turns out Alice actually saw Ray the psychic 5 months before she died, which the Palmer family felt completely betrayed by.
As you would.
Right. Because he never brings it up like, oh, I saw your daughter, 5 months before she died.
Yep.
He never brings anything up. In his defense, like he says, he's like, well, I didn't want to betray my client. Like, came to me in secrecy.
He was trying to honor confidentiality
right.
of what he talked to Alice about.
Psychics don't have to adhere to HIPAA. Yeah. You're full of shit, Ray.
But he owns up to it, and he's like, it was... I was in a real, between a rock and a hard place. I was damned if you do, damned if you don't, and,
I was taking advice from your son.
Right. Your son seems like a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, it seems like he's like, no, this is how you handle it.
But then, I don't know if you have these in your notes, but then we see, because Ray video records all of his sessions with clients. So, like, when June first goes to him, we see footage of his sessions with June. And he says, I film all of my sessions where we employ any sort of hypnosis or trance or anything as security for the client, that like nothing untoward is happening, so that I give them a copy and I keep a copy, and so then we get to see Alice's video, and the stuff that, like, when she's in a trance, she talks about a moment that sounds a lot like the dreams that June was recounting.
Yes.
When talking to Ray about, like, her mother coming into the room and just sort of standing there and not seeing anything.
Yeah.
And so then we see it from Alice's perspective. She's like, my mom comes into the room and she just kind of looks around, and I try to get her attention and she doesn't see me, and then she just leaves.
Yeah. It's
like,
so good.
So, like,
Chilling.
again, we're
Especially
seeing the other half of these encounters that people are having with what they feel is Alice's spirit, and then we see Alice providing the other half of those.
Right. Yeah.
Well, because there's also one of the clips that they show, because they're like between scenes and stuff.
Right.
They'll show some just like random home videos or photos of Alice and Matthew and the family and stuff like that. And somewhere in this portion of the film, we see a video that I think it looks like probably Matthew took it, where he kind of like comes into Alice's room and just sort of sits there without her noticing, and she sits down at her desk and she's doing homework, she's looking at her phone, pretty much what her dad described the entity doing when he saw her. And then she notices Matthew or whoever's filming, and she starts going, get out, and like trying to shoo the person out. So like it starts sort of coming together but also coming apart at the same time. Yeah. Because it's like, here's this thing that seems now explicable but is also inexplicable. Yeah. It's interesting.
It's so good. There's
like
a
trying
lot
to catch smoke. Like,
exactly. Yeah, it's so good.
I'm very good at catching smoke.
I saw you do it before. It's pretty
Keep it in my pocket.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed by that.
Want some smoke later? I got some.
Hell yeah, man.
Give me some smoke. Some free smoke.
So we find out that Alice went with friends in August of 2005. To Lake Mungo.
Oh, weird.
And
that's what this movie's called.
And we see you know, she's hanging out with friends, but she seems a little like odd in the videos, kind of by herself. And at one point,
She looks like a teenager, you mean?
yeah. And at one point, we see her kind of off, and she's like burying something in the ground.
Yeah.
And like the friends are like commenting like, oh, you know, she seemed a little off at the lake and whatever.
Yeah, she was upset by something, and some of the videos where they sort of like she's done doing whatever she did over by the tree, like comes back to the group, and they're sort of trying to pull her into whatever game, or like they're all just being teenagers, you know, running around and screaming.
Yeah.
And every time we see Alice's face in those shots, she's like crying, she's upset, she's like having a panic attack, but trying to compose herself, and they're trying to just sort of be like, come on, Alice, let's have fun.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe they thought that it was like, it's the last night at camp, she's sad because camp is over, which like that's a thing.
That happens. I
went to sleepaway camp a few times, and like, you know, the last night does feel like the world is ending a little bit, because it's like, oh, this was such a fun little bubble, and now it goes away. So like I could see why kids would not recognize like this is someone having an episode of some sort.
I had a premonition of my untimely death.
Yeah.
But you guys have fun around the campfire.
Just have fun.
It's okay.
I saw I got ripped apart in one of my dreams.
I feel like it's probably going to happen.
How are your s'mores? Good?
After you see your own dead body in a vision, s'mores just don't taste like anything.
Anyway, you take the mallow. You toast the mallow.
And you put it between two pieces of chocolate.
It tastes like fleeting life.
Life is fleeting, guys. She needs more s'mores. So
This girl needs more s'mores. That'd be cool if the ghost was making s'mores with them too.
It's
I
like,
hey, got any more chocolate?
So
got any ghost chocolate?
Ghost
What
chocolate.
the fuck is that? Go on.
So the Palmers, you know, they see this video and everything, and they decide to drive out to Lake Mungo, and they're like, oh, we don't want to dig during the day because of like other vacationers.
Well, because this is a horror movie.
Right. This is a horror movie.
You can't do it during the day.
And there's definitely like spirit stuff happening,
Well,
and you're like, we're gonna dig at night.
Also, I will say, so Lake Mungo is a real place in Australia, and they don't talk about it in the film, probably because they assume that the audience is Australian and understands what Lake Mungo is. But it is a dry lake, so there's no water there, actually. It's like there used to be a lake. We know this from archaeological and geological evidence, but it's no longer there. So it's kind of like in Holes, there's Camp Green Lake, and they still call it Green Lake, even though it's
purple.
Yeah.
Right. Even though
But
it's purple.
it's a really, really interesting geological site. So there have been a lot of digs there, and it is illegal for, you know, it's the same way that like you can't take anything out of a national park in America. Like you can't dig at Lake Mungo without a permit, without purpose of research. You know, all of the remains that are found there are indigenous people, so you know, you have to coordinate with the Aboriginal people there. So there have been a couple of like really significant archaeological finds there, that then there was a whole process over the course of years to like repatriate those remains to the Aboriginal people to be you know, like dealt with, you know, proper funeral practices.
That's what they should do. Like Lake Mungo should have a sign up that's like, Lake Mungo, come find an ancestor.
Oh, that's good.
Right?
But so there was like a legal thing as well, but they were like, we don't want people to see us digging at this place where you're very specifically not supposed to dig.
Yeah.
We only let teenagers have unsupervised parties on Lake Mungo.
It's like, there's a serial killer after us. Let's split up. It should be much easier to... Yeah. Always a good idea.
Yeah. I mean, if we're all clustered together, you could just get us in one slash, you know?
Let's do a hunt dig, but at night. Because it seems safer.
Yeah.
For
Nothing
Halloween,
horrifying.
It'll be themed.
Yeah.
Very cutesy, very demure.
Anybody mind if I cast a spell? Maybe we bring up Satan for this expedition?
I need the other 2 shequels in order to cast anything.
That's true.
Yeah.
We can't do anything fun or useful.
I've noticed.
At all.
Yeah,
we're pretty terrible.
I listened to the show. I know.
I know.
Yeah.
We don't try.
We don't do anything.
I remember my teacher said to me, she's like, if you tried just a little bit, you'd be pretty mediocre. And I said, thanks, teach. And I followed me.
Yeah.
For the rest of
For the rest of your life. So we see that
it hurts every time I think about it.
Alice buried her possessions as a possible ritual, they think. And Alice, leading up to all of this, felt something was after her. And at one point, they are looking at her cell phone footage because she buried her cell phone.
Yeah, they find like a little box, like a lunchbox or something.
Right.
With a couple of things that, but just before they go to Lake Mungo, they say like, we noticed that when she came home, she didn't have her new cell phone. Like we had just bought her a cell phone and she didn't have it. So like we were kind of pissed about that. And she didn't have her favorite bracelet. She didn't have like
her lunchbox.
Her well, I think they said her watch. Wallet. Like she had like a wristwatch that. So like new things that she was really like her prized possessions.
Right.
And she came home without them, and they had asked her what happened, and she was very cagey about it.
Yeah.
And so eventually they were like, okay, fine, like we'll just replace the phone, I guess. Yeah. So they find them. They're able to like look for the spot where the video was taken, and they find the tree and like some land markers, and then they find the cell phone and are able to take the memory card or whatever out of it, because kids, that used to be a thing you could do. You could open up your phone and you could take a SIM card out of it.
It's true.
Once upon a time.
Yeah. And in this cell phone footage, this video captured what looked like another Alice, kind of the same Alice that we saw in the photo of her dead body.
Yeah. Jumping
out at her, like and kind of almost like attacking a live Alice, right?
Well, no, I think that's like it zooms in.
Yeah.
Because it's like the footage is sort of like Alice is walking around. And so it's just sort of dark. There's like a flashlight that's just sort of, but like it's also a cell phone. It's cell phone footage from 2004, so it's very grainy. And then you see this figure in kind of the middle distance, and she gets closer, and then at some point the flashlight finds its mark, and the cell phone is able to like focus in on this thing, and we see her waterlogged corpse from the beginning of the movie just standing there looking at her.
Yeah. And it's like a weird jump scare.
Even wearing the hoodie that Alice is wearing at that moment that she's filming. Like wearing the clothes that Alice is wearing in that same scene. Yeah. So like not wearing the bathing suit that she dies in, but wearing what Alice is wearing at that moment so that she can clearly recognize that's supposed to be me. And then I think it's because the documentary pauses on it so that we can see it. And then I think it's like she tries to zoom in to get a better look at it, is the effect that I thought they were going for. Right. And then she realizes what it is and freaks out and runs away. So that's sort of like the jump effect, was the zoom in and the freak out. Yeah. But
it's funny because the dad, after seeing that footage, goes, I recognized it immediately. Yeah. And that was her dead body.
I also like when the mom was like, I still prefer this video to the last one.
Yeah, somehow not the most upsetting found footage in the film.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
This one was a cakewalk.
But it's significant that Russell says that is what I saw at the coroner's office. So like that's what she looked like on that day. Because even what June would have seen later after they exhumed her, that was a couple months later. Right. So like
she did
very
not see...
different. She saw a corpse. Right. And they did DNA testing.
It's actually probably a DNA test at that point.
So like Yeah. So like she didn't get to see that image.
Right.
But he did, and he says that's what it looked like on the day.
Yeah, that's crazy. I give the credit. I give credit to the father for holding his composure.
Yeah.
Through this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, after their return from Lake Mungo, the Palmers actually feel at peace for the first time, and there's a little bit of closure after coming back.
Uh-huh.
And their life sort of became normal again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Matthew's kind of. I do love.
Less of a fuck face.
Yeah, I like his band. By the way, it's just like him and his friend that have like 2 guitars and they play in the garage.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but
And his friend is like, yeah, I felt really bad that his sister died, and I tried to ask him if he was sad, and he was just like, whatever, and they just played. And it was like that. I mean, having not experienced, the life of a teenage boy, but just being friends with teenage boys, that seems very real.
Yeah.
That they would just sit together and play music quietly in a garage and be like, do you want to talk? No. Okay.
I thought it was cool because he's just like, he started playing and he's just like banging on a trash can,
strumming on the street light.
Remember that?
Yeah. A voice is calling me, calling me. Yeah.
One little voice is calling me, calling me. Yeah, we know what's up. We know what's going on.
Yeah, we have. All right. So then their life becomes normal, and
and what June says is that the house felt calm.
Yeah.
When they came back from Lake Mungo, she literally says the house felt calm. And to me, that was like the closure that we get in this movie is Alice gets the closure.
Yeah.
Because her family finally understands why she had become so reclusive in that last year, why she started having sex with the neighbors, like all of the crazy things that she did, that they spend the whole documentary trying to figure out why she was doing those things, were in the last year of her life. And then they go to Lake Mungo and they find out that the instigating event was this encounter that she had with her own ghost.
Right.
And she understood, I'm gonna die soon, because that is a teenage me.
Right.
Dead. And she started
her life.
Yeah, she started acting out and doing crazy things that, like, as if she was trying to experience all these things, but being a kid didn't understand this isn't what you want to experience, being with grown people that are preying on you.
Right. Yeah.
Instead of like confiding in your friends and talking to your boyfriend about something,
I like how the boyfriend just got like, oh, I didn't know there was a problem.
the one interview bit where they cut back to the boyfriend after the sex tape, and they're like, did you know? And he's like, no.
I had no idea. We were cool.
I thought we were not have been going out if I knew about that. Are you crazy?
I regret having grieved her.
I didn't know any of this.
But so like Alice is the one that gets the closure because her family has finally put together what happened to her. Yeah. Even though we can't explain like the supernatural event of her meeting her own ghost, like that part almost doesn't even matter, because we just the point was to understand what was happening to Alice.
Yeah.
Not what was happening at Lake Mungo and why that, but just like what was happening in her head and emotionally, and they understand it at that point. And so they go home, and she's like, the ghost has been appeased, and
like she
gets her closure.
They know my truth now.
Yeah.
On the topic of the boyfriend, so like, I want to go back to him for a sec. He's like standing in front of like a giant rock formation.
Right.
Kudos to the filmmakers for finding an actual spot to film that there wasn't like a giant dick painted on the wall, or like a swastika or something. Because that's all I ever see whenever I see people graffiti things. There's only like a few things people are creative enough to.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Jill was here with WUZ. That heart sign. It's like Jim and Amy. And there's like a cross going through because they clearly broke up.
Yeah, forever. And
it's forever, and then it's like X'd out.
That one weird S that everybody drew on their notebooks.
Oh yeah, like the pointy S. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. The
sixth
line.
Pointy S.
Yeah.
That S is it's part of growing up.
It's legendary, man.
That S is insane.
It's so cool.
Shit.
It's like, I need that S on everything.
You should get tats.
We should get that tat.
lower back tattoos of that S.
Yeah.
We would be
People would be
like
so,
a tramp stamp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need to get that.
It just screams class.
Imagine if we did have that.
You should change the Freakquels logo so that the S is that S.
Oh, that's such a good idea.
Yeah. Come get a tramp stamp with us, America.
We should just sell a shirt of that S.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm into it, man.
Let's do
Let's
that.
That
get
should be
back.
like one of those stretch goals for like if we get to 100 subscribers.
We're gonna get tats.
Yeah, we're gonna get tats.
We're gonna get tatted up.
We'll convince young Vince to get that tat.
Yeah. I think he'd be quicker to do it than we would.
Yeah.
Someone
I think so, too.
said to me, "Hey, in all seriousness, you're gonna get a tattoo," and I'm like, "I gotta get something out of my car, never to be seen again."
Yeah, you just take off.
I would be your Alice.
So we see where June has one more session with Ray. And in this, she kind of finds her closure, too. Mm-hmm. And then we see where the Palmer family moves away.
Did you think it was appropriate to have that scene at the very end after, like, June does her session, and then Ray very casually slides the bill across the table to her, and she's like, "What?
You spent $9
on room service?"
How did you know? We're too. That's
we're out of
crazy.
control.
He just kept all the receipts from that road trip that he took Matthew on.
Yeah.
And he was like, "You actually owe me a lot of money for taking your 15-year-old for the entire summer."
Yeah. What's wrong with these parents?
I know. I'd be like, "Didn't you check that video that was found in your daughter's room?" I mean, you.
Well, I
adults
guess
can't
they
be
found
trusted.
it after they.
Well, I guess that just excused sending your child off with
Yeah.
a stranger.
Yeah.
But-
I'm a psychic. Go
The
ahead.
family, they end up moving away from the house, and
Which is like a very common thing that people who have lost a child, they eventually are like, "I can't be here anymore," because that room is always going to be her room.
right. And the last shot we see of June is like in that room
Mm-hmm.
and kind of getting that final closure.
Yeah,
as well.
and she, just sort of was looking around like, did we leave anything in here? Yeah, there's a cord. I guess I'll pick up that cord. And then she closes the door and she leaves, which is like a similar thing to the dream that she describes, going in, looking around, not seeing Alice, and then just quietly leaving. Obviously a different context because the room is literally empty of all furniture and like all the things that made it Alice's room. But then there's that photo of the three of them outside the house.
Yeah.
Okay, goodbye to the house.
And they
take
all
a
look
shot.
happy too.
Yeah, and because they're at peace with it finally. But that is also the photo from the beginning of the film to introduce the family. And so I really love that they use that as a bookend to be like, and again, it's that cyclical theme in the movie that like everything has happened before, will happen again. Alice saw her death and then she lived a whole life before, fulfilling that prophecy that, so like things happening backwards and then forwards and, like coming back to it and just like everything over again. I think even after they discover the body, one of the officers or the coroner or somebody says that like when they finally found it, she had been like caught in a current and was being like had been tangled up in some like debris or something down at the bottom of the lake, but like she had been pulled into like a whirlpool sort of thing. So like it's just an interesting theme throughout the movie about this cyclical nature of life and of grief because the director has said that he didn't intend to make like a horror movie or a supernatural paranormal activity movie. He intended to do like a case study of grief. Which I think he achieved really well because
he
like
nailed it. Yeah.
When you do lose someone that you is a big part of your life that you care very deeply for, you have these moments where you sort of forget that they're gone. And then, things are okay for a minute because like, it's not something that consumes the entirety of your brain 100% of the time. And then you have to remember and you have to, think about it again. And like, and the further away that you get from that person not being in your life anymore, sometimes those stretches of time where you forget that there's somebody missing can be like longer. But then when you do think about like the impact that person had on you, or like, you know, a holiday comes up and you think about like, oh, I used to do this thing with them every Christmas and now it's Christmas and I'm not doing that thing with them. Yeah. Like the grief is so real and it's so fresh and it hurts just the same, and you have to go through it again and you get better at dealing with it, but it never stops fully. Yeah. It's always something that you're going to have to deal with and come back to every so often, which is what the film is doing.
I always maintain that like grief it kind of happens in waves.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's my short answer to that.
Yeah.
No, but I loved the way this movie deals
with... Oh, are we done?
No. Well, I mean, yes, we are.
Oh, the plot's over?
Well, then the credits start.
The credits start, and the cool thing is...
It was weird when they had, like, that Down with the Sickness song start playing.
Down with the Sickness.
Yeah, I was like... I'm like, that's not appropriate.
Yeah. No, I do like that, the fake photo that Matthew made.
Yeah, they kind of, like, look into the corner. The credits with... the evidence that we saw earlier in the film, and so like we see the one where, you know, Alice walks across the hall but Matthew admitted, no, that's me wearing her hoodie. Yeah, like the stuff like that. I love this bit.
Yeah, and the real photo, well, the photo he photoshopped, then they show the real photo, but then it kind of zooms over to the right. Mm-hmm. And so and then you see her, she's like literally sitting down in the garden, and like
instead of zooming in on the part that Matthew admitted was a hoax and said, I superimposed this image, instead of zooming over to that, they zoom to the other side and you see that she's really is sitting there.
Yeah.
And
texting.
Yeah, and in the videos you see like, we were looking over here at Matthew, but like you weren't looking over here at Alice.
Yeah.
Like there is somebody in those videos and it does look like Alice, and it has gone unexplained, and we weren't looking at her.
And we get a couple, you know, in the end credits, photos and videos and stuff, and it's really eerie and creepy.
Well, and even the videos, because we completely glossed over this because it wasn't really like part of the big plot, but the people who were at the reservoir shortly after her death, like there were like other people in the community that sort of came forward later when they heard that maybe she was still alive. They were like, oh, well, I was over at the reservoir, you know, a couple days later, and I was testing out my new camera. I'm gonna look at that, you know, I'm gonna look at the photos. Oh, I do see something there. But again, Matthew was like, I was there. I was just sort of walking around trying to find closure. Again, this theme of like Matthew being the one that people mistake for Alice. But then even in those that like other members of the community gave that footage, you know, donated that footage to the documentary.
Right.
We look over to the right instead of the left, and like, Alice is there.
Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah, and like what a way to sort of like do like a fake out and like just leave you with chills as the credits roll, going, wait a second, I have to rethink the entire movie I just watched. Like I have to see it. I can't imagine seeing it in like a theater or at a film festival or something and not being able to just go back to the beginning and watch it again and be like, no, wait a second.
I gotta watch this
Run that past me again.
Yeah, it was so good. Like, my final thoughts on this movie.
Before we just step past that, one last thing. I thought this was kind of effective. That last photo that you see of the family, they're kind of like just like standing there and they look kind of like peaceful, whatever. But the camera kind of does a thing where it pushes in and you're kind of going into the window
of Alice's room. Yeah.
And I got really sad with that because to me it's sort of like implying that like she probably still is in the house, but it's like
because you do see her there.
Yeah, and like the family is like leaving, and she's just kind of gonna be in that house for the rest of time, I suppose. It's kind of like a very like lonely last shot. Kind of made me feel sad.
Yeah,
and which is weird because I haven't had emotions in like a long time. I think it's been like, oh god, 14 years old.
14, yeah, it was a long time.
But yeah, how'd you feel about the fucking movie?
I loved it. First time seeing it, and it really was good. I felt it. had very creepy vibes, especially the end credits and just that simple music that they're playing, like this ominous kind of tone. But and you're seeing the real Alice popping up in like the different background photos and videos and stuff. Like I said, it was very innovative. I feel like it was like ahead of its time, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see
The remake.
no, not like a remake, but other filmmakers maybe try to capitalize on this, because if this keeps like rising up and being talked about more and more and more, I feel like eventually other filmmakers are going to be like, why don't we make like a fake documentary?
$5 movie.
Yeah, yeah. But I loved it, and it was like a great use of found footage, and I don't know, I really, really enjoyed it, and all the performances were very well, I don't know, like grounded and felt authentic and real, tangible. Like I felt like, oh, I know someone like Russell Palmer, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Arnold
or
was his
Mike
name.
or Arnold. Yeah.
That's in the American version.
Well,
Hello.
yeah. But no, I feel like those characters like June and the psychic Ray and Matthew all felt like real people to me. So it was really good.
Yeah.
What are your final thoughts on it?
Well, clearly I love this movie. It's stuck
Yeah.
with me for over 10 years now. It's been like my go-to recommendation. I've kept it in my back pocket. And shit, now I got to find another one because I've told everybody now about this movie. But I think the attention to detail is so... It really makes the whole thing feel very lived in, feel very authentic.
Yeah.
But they're not doing like info dumps and being like, look at all this detailed work. And
we talked about so we both saw Sleepy Hollow, like Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow, and we were saying about Christina Ricci. It was like the poor, like it was like this dialogue. She had to do this huge exposition dump.
Yep.
And right, like, and we're just like, oh, that sucks.
Like, hello, I missed you. I'm
Right.
like, oh no.
Oh no. See,
She's not as good as I remember.
See, my father owned the land, and he bought it from this
That
person.
land over there.
Yeah.
Not to
Yeah.
be confused with that land over there.
But yeah,
But just
you're
like
right.
the bits where it's like the police are giving their report, so they're
Right.
providing some dates and some times and some procedural stuff that like it's very natural for that to work its way in. But then just like the dates lining up and things like that, they just do it very quietly throughout the film. And even because I've been so interested in this movie, I went at some point and did some like light research on Lake Mungo, and it's sort of like the things that I was reading about it made me think of like the Appalachian Mountains a bit, because like the Appalachian Mountains are so fucking old.
Right.
Like they're older than trees. Like
Yeah.
those mountains existed before trees did. That's a bit wild.
Yeah.
And so like, there's all this lore about what happens in Appalachia, and like people who go there that are not believers will be like, yeah, no, it's spooky. Like something's going on, because it's so old, and there are so many things that have happened there that we can't understand. Just the passage of time. And it seems like Lake Mungo is kind of like that in that area.
Yeah.
Because it's so old, and because the archaeological finds that they've discovered there have like kind of rewritten what our understanding of prehistory. There are some remains of anatomically modern humans that are there that are like, wow, that's way
years old.
that's way earlier than we thought humans could have come to Australia. Or like, well, if humans left Africa at this time and then they were already in Australia at that point, like either they moved really fast or they left way earlier than we thought.
Right.
But like, why haven't we found evidence other places for it? And things like that. And one of the most interesting finds there is human remains that they could just call Mungo woman.
Right.
And she is evidence of possibly the earliest indication of complex funeral rites
Yeah.
in human history.
Insane.
She was cremated and then buried, or she was buried and then dug up and then cremated and reburied, which was something that ancient humans did sometimes, was like a reburial at, you know, significant anniversaries and things like that. And so like that being the site where Alice sees herself, and then she does this little like improvised ritual and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like that, the attention to details like that and just not addressing them in the film really like adds so much depth and makes it feel so much more real. Where like you really, without the cast list there at the end, you'd really be like, wait a second, what did I just watch?
Yeah.
Was it real?
Weird
What
episode
happened?
of Dateline.
Yeah.
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 Anyway, yeah, I could talk about this movie forever.
Yeah,
It's so
outstanding.
interesting. Every time I watch it, I find a new detail, or I feel a different way about something. And it's, I think, because it focuses on grief, and that is something that like everybody always has an evolving relationship with. There's always something for you in this movie.
Absolutely.
Anytime you watch it, no matter how
Definitely.
many times you've seen it.
Yeah, I can't wait. This is something I would definitely revisit, you know. And I loved it. Rory, your thoughts? This is your second time seeing it.
Second time. First time I saw it, kind of what I was saying before, I had heard things about it, and I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. I think I wasn't blown away by it.
Right.
But I was like, it's pretty good. And then since then, I bought a massive television with this surround sound that's kind of like all around you. It's all consuming. So when I was watching the movie this time, I had a very different experience with it. I think I was kind of getting it. Like I was just like, oh, okay, so this is like a very like effective movie. I wish, you know, some horror filmmakers would take some notes off this, because I find like things are far more scary when there's like subtlety involved.
Yeah.
Like stillness is unnerving to me. Like the image of like just like a face in the background. You know, like who's fabulous at that is Mike Flanagan, like the Haunting of Hill
yeah.
House.
Mm-hmm.
How there's just like a face in the background, and you're just like, oh, I'll never sleep again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But I love, you know, like the little things that they do to creep you out. You know, move in on a photo, you see a face, and you're like, haha, great. That might be in my room somewhere. But like most great horror films, it is about something, and it's about what we were just talking about before, like a family dealing with grief.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff that really like draws you in and really you know, affects you like on an emotional level. And then like the horror is kind of like you know, it's like The Exorcist. Like
It's
The
like
Exorcist,
a part of it, but
yeah,
it's
not what it's about.
Right.
Like I always tell people, like The Exorcist is like, you know, you can watch that and be like, oh, it's about like, some people see it as like a girl who gets possessed, but I always think of it more as like a drama. You know what I mean? It's like a mother not really knowing how to save her child. It's like when medical stuff, everything fails. It's literally just about like this woman like watching like a demon that's almost like the equivalent of like cancer, just like destroying her on the inside, and the only thing they could do was like turn to faith. And you're like, well, I hope this works.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, I think all great horror kind of has that sort of thing about it, and like Mungo definitely does. Because the thing I was really, really feeling this time watching it, it wasn't the faces in the background, but it was just those thoughts it's putting in your head, like what I brought up earlier. You know, like we're together on Christmas, and then you know, like our daughter's in a morgue.
Yeah.
And like just like how like heartbreaking a statement like that is, because you think about stuff like that when you're in the midst of it. Like you're just like, oh, I just lost this person that I love, and they're just like not here anymore, you know. I'm not gonna get into that because it'll depress the fuck out of the audience, but I would say if you want something that is very, you know, again, very subtle, it's not gonna be like the new It movie.
Right. Yeah.
Like things are kind of like just jumping out like
Yeah.
just something that's a little bit more like elegant, I would say.
Very subtle.
Yeah,
but
like
lived in.
yeah,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
very, very, very authentic. To a very impressive degree, how like unremarkable the footage is.
Yeah.
But it's very powerful.
Yeah.
So I would say, watch this movie, everyone at home.
Yeah.
Get off your bums and go look it up.
Check this out.
Go check it out.
It's free on Tubi and Freevee
And
and
Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime.
And it's on GhostTube.
GhostTube.
You can go on GhostTube and you can watch it. All the ghosts will watch.
It's a
free movies.
great movie.
Yeah.
I'm so happy we got to talk about it and cover this because it was really, really
You're
good.
just not happy, Rory.
You're just
that
not
doesn't
happy.
count.
At all.
So one thing we like to do is give emojis for the movies we watched, a little emoji rating. So Meggie, do you want to start us off?
Sure. So I have a video camcorder
Ooh,
for obvious
good.
reasons, and a little ghosty because I see you, Alice. I have some bubbles for the lake that she drowned in.
Yeah.
Nice.
A crystal ball for Ray, and a tree for where they found her stuff.
I love it. Rory?
There were some animals moving around in the background, very far back in the frame. Couldn't tell what they were, so I couldn't really grab an emoji for them. But I did see you, animals. I don't know who you are, and if you'd like to write to the show and let me know exactly what species you were, I'll call you out. I got a ghost one emoji because there's ghosts in this. I think
That's good. Yeah. Good call.
I also had like a house because there's ghosts in the house.
Yeah.
There was a ghost in the house. You're right.
And there was a camera that a sociopathic teenager had, and then a sex pervert had also.
Yeah.
And that made up this whole movie. So.
Ugh. Yeah.
And then just kind of like like when you don't like throw up, but the emoji that looks like it's about to puke.
Yeah.
Kind of that, because you get to that point in the movie and you're like watching the wife and the
Yeah.
husband just
Even
keep an eye on your kids, America.
Yeah. Even the footage of him crouched down, looking at the camera, is like unsettling.
Yeah, it's super unsettling.
It might be even more unsettling than the ghost versions of Alice. I don't know. There's something
Ghosts
about
can hurt you, but sex
Yeah,
perverts
well,
can.
because the whole movie, it's like, is there a ghost? Isn't there? We don't know.
Yeah.
But what we do know is that he was in that room. A real, actual person was in that room.
Hey,
like,
that's sick.
undisputable.
Yeah.
And he did this thing. We know for a fact. So, like, it's concrete. It's evidence.
Gross.
Everybody in that town
Yeah.
should consider locking their doors because everyone's just walking in and out of the house.
Jesus. Yeah.
Anyway,
It'd be
So-
super easy to rob a house in Australia, apparently.
Yeah. We have June just going in and out of houses like
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. Yeah, my emojis, I have a mirror and a camcorder because that kid is a genius.
yeah, what a dick.
And a sociopath.
A dick.
A super dick. But okay, let's get into plugs. Meggie, what do you want to plug first, buddy? Any upcoming projects and stuff?
Not at the moment, but I do want to give a shout out to my husband's chamber choir group, Lyric Consort. You can find them on Facebook. They just did their autumn concert, but they have a Christmas one coming up. I don't think they've announced specifically which date yet. Sometime in December. Go follow them on Facebook, and you can see that information when it becomes available. But they do some really beautiful work, and it's always a really fun time. Also want to shout out Scranton Films that they just finished Shadows of the Past, their most recent film, and it's had its premiere, and it's been in a couple of film festivals now. It's it's gotten a couple of awards at those film festivals, some recognition. They do amazing work there, and they've got a couple more showings and festivals coming up. So follow Scranton Films on Facebook to keep up to date with that. And then The Battle of the Bards is happening on November 10th. I don't know if this will be airing before then. Probably not.
I think so. I think it's November.
Sure.
And it's in November.
Yeah. So November 10th is the next one as of this recording. But if you follow them on Facebook, you can get updates for future performances. That's a really fun 48-hour writing challenge for local writers to write a scene 5 to 10 minutes long with a couple of prompts. They get the prompts on Friday, and it has to be ready to perform by Sunday. So November 10th, show up at 5 p.m. at the V Spot. If you want to sign up to perform one of those pieces, show starts at 6.
Yeah, and it's awesome. I got to partake in it as a writer, and it was like one of the best experiences. I loved it because I love SNL, and that's what I would compare it to.
It's a very SNL sort of thing. Like,
yeah,
it has this because I've performed in it before.
Right.
So it has this kind of thrown together quality, but everybody's just like knows exactly why they're there, and it's so fun. And you know, people get up there with the script in their hand, so like it's very chill. You don't have to be like, oh, but if I only have a half hour with the script, like I can't go up and perform. Like, no, it's so chill and it's so fun. Show up, just like participate. It's great.
Yeah.
And
Rory, how about you? What would you like to plug there, buddy?
I'd like to plug Raven View Productions. You can see it on Facebook and YouTube, and if you don't look it up, then hell with you. Fourth Cut Reviews is
Chris Conforti.
Chris Conforti, keyboard warrior. Chris Conforti.
The coolest nickname of all time.
Yeah, reviews.
As
and
Vince would say, what a lame
videos. He does all sorts of shit on there.
Well, Vince isn't fucking here, so.
I know. Variant season.
Fuck you, Vince.
Our buddy, Variant season. Our buddy Will Perna's band doing some kick-ass rock music. Whatever they're putting out there right now is probably better than the shit you're listening to. I am so judgmental. Gravy Diggers, the pot pie you're lucky to survive. They're trying a new recipe right now, and they're kind of just aiming for someone to not
live.
Kind of, yeah. We're trying to get people. Real Chronicles, a friend of the show, Dave Gonzalez, you can check out his reviews. He has a podcast. I'm on there sometimes. It's lots of fun. We just talk film, geek out on movies, and those cats are real informative, and they know all this fun stuff about film history. So if you're interested in learning more about movies and just listening to a couple of guys who are on the ball, check out Real Chronicles. But most importantly, everyone, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Kitties of an EPA Pet Rescue. It's the most important thing I've mentioned the entire show. Who cares about kids drowning in lakes? Fuck that. Let's talk about cats who need homes. There's so many of them out there. They're all wandering the streets, and their little toe beans are getting cold out there. It's getting colder. So you should probably go to Kitties of an EPA and adopt one. You could have one in your house. You could pet them. They're real soft and they're fun. They'll greet you at the door once they learn what your car sounds like mine have. You can donate food. You could donate your time, money, helping them out. If you don't, then you're a selfish asshole, and you should stop listening to this podcast because we don't want your business. If you say something like, "Oh, I'm allergic," I'm like, "Fuck you," you know?
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ.
Get
over yourself.
Yeah, get over it.
Get over yourself and get a cat. That's what I want to say to you, America.
Just get over it.
Other than that, I've got nothing left to say to you, America.
Yeah.
Audi
2000. I have some plugs. First off, Adam Farley's music. Check it out on Spotify or iTunes. Same with Chris Alou's music. My brother's band, Kids on Bikes. Check out their stuff. It's awesome. Then you have the one and only, the new metal messiah, Jon Snow.
Metal Messiah, Jon Snow.
Jon Snow.
Yeah.
And the Eastern Tribute Collective.
Eastern Tribute Collective. Fronted by Jon Snow and the rest.
But, guys, check out Jon Snow. If you haven't seen him live, what are you doing with your life? What are you doing? Get out there. Go see Jon Snow. He's so good. He's like the most incredible performer that you could ever watch with your eyes.
He's music's first prophet.
Yeah, he really is. He really is. No, but check out New Metal Messiah. You can find him on Instagram. There's a Facebook for the Eastern Tribute Collective, and you can see all the shows that he's doing. He's always like, I think every weekend he has like shows going on. So
many shows.
And they've got their books open for 2025. So
Yeah.
if you are putting on a show of your own, or you
or a benefit,
yeah,
or whatever,
contact him.
Hey.
Look through his extensive catalog of bands that he has, and if there's
like
not the
19
one
of
that you
them.
want there, ask him, and maybe he'll start another one for you.
Hey,
Yeah.
speaking of catalogs, maybe you can adopt a cat, and then on that same week, and go see Jon Snow perform.
Hell
How
yeah.
about that? Wouldn't that be fun for you?
And maybe John will hold it while he performs.
Yeah, and the cat will purr because he realizes
Into
he's
the
in the
microphone.
presence
Very
of the
allergic.
metal
Yeah.
messiah.
So
Yeah.
You may not be able to perform due to your cat. Rushed to a
he's just
hospital.
gonna wheeze into a microphone for half an hour.
He's very sick.
Sick. Also, make sure to check out Shinty Hill Design, our buddy Mike Vinci,
Our Da Vinci.
our Da Vinci, the Vinch. He has his own thing, and he actually
He's got his own shit going on.
he's got his own shit going on. But no, he helped create our website and make everything, like design all of it. So shout out to Mike for doing that. But Shanty Hill Design, if you really want your stuff hooked up, go to him.
Yeah, he's
Right?
a hell of a cuddler too.
Hell of a color. Also, check out Comics on the Green, our buddy Becky and Dave, and they're down there holding it down. Get all your good comic books from Comics on the Green.
Hell yeah.
And then I would say Three Jacks. Don't forget to go to Three Jacks because that's a cool place.
Get a burger.
Get a
two.
burger. Get two burgers.
Double fist the burgers.
What's the burger of the month? The turkey gorbler? No, wait. I forget what it
The
is.
gobbledygooker.
The gobbledygooker.
Yes.
Yeah.
6-ounce beef patty with cranberry Dijon mayo. Little fucking stuffing puck thing.
Yeah.
Shaved turkey on it.
Ooh.
If you're a vegetarian, you're recoiling in horror right now. But if you're not, you're just probably salivating.
Yeah.
Try this before you try Gravy Diggers.
Yeah. Because you might die. from
Yeah.
this.
Unless, I mean, you could look at it like this. If you do have a gobbledygooker, it could be your last meal before Gravy
there you
Diggers
go.
pot pie.
That's pretty good.
Oh, if you're also on death row,
Yeah. You might want to check this
you
out.
might want to order one of our burgers. It's a good way to go.
Plus you could
let's
catch
corner the market on
Yeah.
Death,
Death
row, and
Row,
mates.
Uber Eats.
Yeah.
What's your
We
final
have
meal?
a monopoly on
Yeah.
last meals.
I want 3 jacks.
I want 3 Jacks. Give me
I
3
did shit.
I once murdered a man with a bayonet. Give me 3 Jacks.
I made the Menendez brothers blush.
I fed a
Damn.
man Gravy Diggers just to watch him die.
What a sick monster.
Just to watch him die. So
Anyway.
anyways, yeah, check out 3 Jacks. Young Vince is always here. Whenever whenever it's open, he's
And
here.
he always wants to talk about the Deftones.
Yeah, the Deftones.
The Deftones is his favorite band.
Yeah. Make sure to say the Deftones.
Don't say it any other way. He won't
Right.
respond.
He doesn't like when people say it wrong. He likes when you say it the Deftones.
Yeah, he also likes Goo Goo the Dolls.
Yeah, the Cuckoo the Dolls. Loves them. They're so good.
Yeah.
And Saves Day. Not Saves the Day. Saves Day.
Ask him if he knows anything about Neil Diamond.
Yeah,
He might.
he might.
We don't know.
We don't know.
But anyway.
But anyways, come into 3 Jacks. It's literally the coolest place to be on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday
Or on death row.
or Thursdays too,
Oh,
right?
Yeah, Mondays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays. They're here.
Yeah,
Go
they're
get a
here.
burger.
Multiple days a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like most of them.
Right. Just come in, get a burger,
Eat a
Is it
burger
a day
and
that
shut
ends in
up.
Y? They might be open.
and ask. If you ask Young Vince, you could ask him for full eye contact while you eat, and
Oh,
he
yeah.
loves it. Yeah.
It's awesome. He might and lick your lips the entire time.
Yeah.
Have like food rolling out of your mouth.
It's actually required. Like, so if you have young Vince as a waiter, be like, I want the full eye contact service, and he has to do it.
On Thursday, he'll actually like regurgitate food into your mouth like a baby bird.
Oh yeah, like
Give me the mama bird.
Yeah. Mama Bird Mondays is what we call it.
Give me the gobbledygooker.
Yeah.
Wait, what is it called? And Vince has to do it.
He does.
Yeah.
And then tip him for it.
If you want. But anyways, thank you to Meggie for not only picking an awesome movie.
One filled with laughs.
Yeah, filled with laughs. No, but for picking an awesome movie and coming on and talking about it. I loved your insight. You're always incredible. You always have great insight on everything.
You.
But
thank you so much for letting me talk about this movie, because it's so rare that I find somebody that has watched it, and I got to make you watch it, so it was guaranteed.
Most of this won't make it to air. So.
We're just cut the whole episode.
This episode's gonna be about 30 seconds. It's mostly gonna be talking about
The
Vince
cats.
regurgitating into customers' mouths and death row inmates.
And Salo.
Yeah, and Salo.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just the whole thing. Salo.
But
Yeah,
no,
it's
thank you.
so fun to be here, talking about movies and hanging out with you guys.
Yeah,
So
we love.
thank you for having me.
And please come back anytime. You and the sequels anytime.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes to both.
Yes. And guys, thank you at home. And before we go, make sure to check out FREAKQUELS podcast.com, and there you can find episodes, photos, links to our Instagram, Facebook. You can email us there.
You could buy some hoodies and
Get some merch.
Yeah, to cover
merch.
your shameful bodies with.
Merch it up. And we have everything from glasses to shirts.
Yeah.
And
No sequels rep.
I
noticed.
We are not a progressive podcast.
Yeah, we're like terrible.
Not into it.
We're
We're just
working
self-serving.
Yeah, we're like dangerously close to a female president. I'm just kidding. Please cut that. Don't say that.
Nope.
Oh, no.
Cold open.
No. So
I loved the last episode that I was here. We outnumbered you.
I know, it was
like,
awesome.
Now you answer for all of mankind.
Yes. No, but guys, check out frequelspodcast.com to get all that cool stuff. And finally, thank you guys for listening at home. We love you guys.
Nope.
I love you guys. Rory,
he does.
Feels indifferent. I don't want to.
I'm warming up to you guys.
Oh, thank you.
I don't like any of you at home.
Yeah, God. But guys, thank you so much for listening at home, and thank you for listening
Dude, you good?
Lake Mungo.